19th October 2006 witnessed the establishment of a platform through the Agreement of Memorandum Jama'ah Menteri, which states the need for a training and development platform for tertiary education leaders. The Ministry of Higher Education is entrusted to develop the platform as it is deemed fit for MOHE to nurture, train and sustain the skills and competencies of the higher education institution leaders. With that said, AKEPT as an agency under the ministry was born. Known as Higher Education Leadership Academy, AKEPT, or in the full form of its Malay name, Akademi Kepimpinan Pendidikan Tinggi, has been playing its role through its objective for almost 20 years. AKEPT aims to develop leadership talents and potential in higher education institutions, HEIs, to lead their institutions more effectively, especially to face the challenges of global higher education in the future. In addition, AKEPT believes the enhancement of leadership must be holistically addressed, not just among academics, but also to cater to administrators' professionalism and ensure competent leaders and administrators are produced. Leadership development is essential at all levels to nurture a reliable talent pool for the long-term sustainability of higher education excellence. Located in the educational hub of Bandar Enstek Negeri Sembilan, sprawling compound which houses high-standard facilities comprising an administrative building, halls, auditorium, lecture rooms, 4-star accommodation, sports facilities, dining hall. These facilities have witnessed various impactful programs being held, with prominent figures present. AKEPT has conducted a countless number of international forums and upskilling programs for higher education institutions, including 20 public universities and TVET agencies and institutions. It holds a huge responsibility to provide training programs and add value to the current expertise amongst the board of directors, high and mid-level administration officers in higher education institutions. To ensure continuous enhancement of its programs, AKEPT has extended its role via strategic partnerships and collaborations with various institutions. With many more impactful programs in the pipeline, AKEPT will surely continue to deliver on its promise as the preferred expert center in higher education leadership development towards producing respected, competent, and excellent leaders for the betterment of higher education institutions and to fulfill the national agenda.
yang memberikan salam itu atau salam semua kepada
buka laluan dan jaringan tabir job.
Okay. So we have to ask ourselves
sebagai pejabat awam. Jadi genap sebenarnya
pada pengurusi lah Tuan Yang Mulia Raja.
The Leaders in Action program.
I believe that the topic of entrepreneurial leadership development is very timely.
So if I read and share with you.
ITS that I didn't complete my bachelor will not buy from you, especially youth, women, netizen.
Our third panelist.
Specialized world leading skills and resources coming in from
Predicting and the control.
scale up, the next scale.
But everybody's on the camera. One
Intipati dan strategi bersama dalam menyokong agenda tiga negara.
speaker dan panelis dari kementerian selaku perubahan dasar.
Sesi forum yang pertama. Jadi forum ini terkait soal jawab dalam bahasa Malaysia.
Di semua sektor ekonomi negara ini
Pada masa kita dengan Raja Tablighi. Okay, so berbalik pada soalan, itu susah untuk kita menghabiskan dengan
values in the university. Okay, you gotta uphold that. And the leader, the number.
It is about value-based leadership. It's very touchy. It's how you to develop the culture.
Leadership and there is investment in
Malaysia. My records.
And therefore, if you're a BBL leader,
Professor Dr. Wan Hana Malini, Wan Mota, or Dr. Hana.
At the panel, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we will have a full flavor of ASEAN dialogue, and I think we believe that the university is a powerful anchor organization.
Being prepared is an indicator of the interest.
Strong evidence from the latest IPC AR6.
Any attempts to sort of validate to ensure
communication with them, there is constant.
The same topic that is mental 2007 and also outstanding.
Such thing as dasar kesihatan mental. No such thing as.
This one is very, very significant because if you have
we might as well close down the university.
IIUM, and the organizer also provides the dynamic and progressive role of the Muslim Ummah.
And a very warm welcome to. We have scored very well in leadership,
Resilience, computational and design.
to look at what we have to see.
Minimize has done. I think that's a classical example.
But we don't have to determine
Leading or teaching learning environments.
The sustainability of PTPTN.
to the participants out there.
Counseling and clinical psychology unit has been providing all
Spread over 150 hectares of land.
Of Talent Corporation Malaysia Berhad or not.
So that the program that we are proposing.
world-class practices, which again has become a norm today.
Future leadership higher education, leading beyond pandemic.
District by Higher Education Leadership Academy.
And its intersection with technology.
At this moment, we have a very strong tie between ASEAN.
And so, but getting that sense of it.
Their values, their traits,
is also something extremely important.
Compassionate leadership, if I were to extract from some references,
The program is about why I think that this is important for us to be around at least half of the institutions in Malaysia.
Karina protecting protection. Yes, I really asked her to review the generous, lead and help, encourage everyone.
Hatashai was taken to commemorate two national figures
to help those students to be more self-resilient.
How do female leaders in higher education fight for equity and transform leadership?
We need to take that into consideration. Performance is also not even across all universities.
We want to talk very briefly about the barriers.
I was engaged throughout the whole session and I've learned so much.
TVET principals and managers will have the skills.
TVET is a national agenda in Malaysia education system.
Being with us today,
Profession, occupation, involved design, implementation, assessment.
The custom as an industry strategize in the realizing the high performance TVET system in Malaysia.
I just wanted to show what we are doing in Germany.
But pursuing TVET is meant for those non-performer in high school.
Groups all together, and in the
For this, we hope that we will be getting tips for students.
Definitely, they have been experiencing in common.
There's no voting. We don't need to vote.
About a vocab, about leadership, and about well-being.
By women. 3.7% of company CEOs.
What I'm good at, what I'm not good at, and what I need to do.
This could provide insights for recommendations.
Sekali lagi terima kasih. Dan kemerdekaan dan kenegaraan negara mesti
Sumber pendapat
platform for tertiary education leaders. The Ministry of Higher Education is entrusted to develop the platform as it is deemed fit for MOHE to nurture, train and sustain the skills and competencies of the higher education institution leaders. With that said, AKEPT as an agency under the ministry was born, known as Higher Education Leadership Academy. AKEPT, or in the full form of its Malay name, Akademi Kepimpinan Pendidikan Tinggi, has been playing its role through its objective for almost 20 years. AKEPT aims to develop leadership talents and potential in higher education institutions, HEIs, to lead their institutions more effectively, especially to face the challenges of global higher education in the future. In addition, AKEPT believes the enhancement of leadership must be holistically addressed, not just among academics, but also to cater to administrators' professionalism and ensure competent leaders and administrators are produced. Leadership development is essential at all levels to nurture a reliable talent pool for the long-term sustainability of higher education excellence. Located in the educational hub of Bandar Enstek Negeri Sembilan, AKEPT boasts over 30 acres of sprawling compound, which houses high-standard facilities comprising an administrative building, halls, auditorium, lecture rooms, 4-star accommodation, sports facilities, dining hall. These facilities have witnessed various impactful programs being held, with prominent figures present. AKEPT has conducted a countless number of international forums and upskilling programs for higher education institutions, including 20 public universities and TVET agencies and institutions. It holds a huge responsibility to provide training programs and add value to the current expertise amongst the board of directors, high and mid-level administration officers in higher education institutions. To ensure continuous enhancement of its programs, AKEPT has extended its role via strategic partnerships and collaborations with various institutions. With many more impactful programs in the pipeline, AKEPT will surely continue to deliver on its promise as the preferred expert center in higher education leadership development towards producing respected, competent, and excellent leaders for the betterment of higher education institutions and to fulfill the national agenda.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you to this seminar on empowering a sustainable quintuple helix ecosystem. First of all, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all our speakers and participants. We are honored to have such distinguished group of experts in their respective fields. Please join me in welcoming Yang Berbahagia, Datuk Muhammad Syahril bin Abdullah, Director Community and Industry Collaboration Division, atau Bahagian Kolaborasi Industri dan Masyarakat BKIM, Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia. Yang berbahagia, Datuk Profesor Dr. Nasruddin Muhammad, Director Higher Education Leadership Academy, or well known as Akademi Kepimpinan Pendidikan Tinggi AKEPT, Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia. The Honorable Professor Dr. Abdul Aziz Bergut, Dean, Institute of Islamic Thought and Civilization, International Islamic University Malaysia. Yang berusaha, Mr. Koo Yuan Hing, Head of Network Partnerships and Strategy, Maxis Berhad. The Honorable Datuk Syahira Ahmad Bazari, Managing Director of Yayasan Hasanah. Yang berusaha, Associate Professor Dr. Khairul Azami, Director of Office of Industrial Links, IIUM. Last but not least, distinguished guests, professors, associate professors, academic staff, administrative staff, participants, and students. Honorable speakers, we are truly grateful for your presence here today. Your presence is a testament to the importance of the topic at hand. My name is Fazli Irwan, and I will be your master of ceremony for today. I'm confident that the discussion will take place throughout this seminar will be fruitful and enlightening. We look forward to hearing your insights. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to show our love and respect for our beloved country. kindly rise as we sing the national anthem of Malaysia, Negaraku. The Faisal Al-Muhammadi from the Office of Industrial Link, IIUM, to lead us in reciting the dua. Please join us in this blessed recitation.
Al-Fatiha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, hanya padamu sahaja kami panjangkan kesyukuran atas segala nikmat dan berkah-Mu. Bersempena dengan majlis pada hari ini, kami memohon inayah dan taufik-Mu, kurniakanlah kesejahteraan dan kebahagiaan kepada kami. Bukakanlah hati-hati kami, lapangkanlah dada kami, supaya kami dapat mengisi ilmu pengetahuan yang berguna untuk agama, bangsa dan negara. Kami memohon kepadamu agar engkau berkatilah majlis ini dengan limpah rahmat-Mu. Semoga segala usaha kami dalam menjayakan majlis ini mendapat keredaan dan hidayah-Mu. Sesungguhnya pada hari ini kami berkumpul kerana-Mu, Ya Allah. Kami berkumpul untuk menimba ilmu, bertukar pendapat, menyumbangkan buah fikiran, menghubungkan silaturahim dan memberi sokongan ke arah meningkatkan lagi prestasi kami. Kami memohon kekuatan dari hadrat-Mu, Ya Allah, supaya kami yang hadir pada hari ini agar dapat kami melaksanakan segala kebajikan, dan kami pohon perlindungan daripada-Mu, Ya Allah, dari segala keburukan. Ya Allah, kurniakanlah kepada kami kekayaan ilmu pengetahuan dan hiasilah diri kami dengan sifat lemah lembut, serta muliakanlah kami dengan ketakwaan dan indahkanlah diri kami dengan kesihatan. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin ya Rabbal Alamin. Thank you, Brother Faisal. Once again, welcome to everyone, and let's get started with this seminar. The Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia acknowledged the importance of connecting academia and industry to ensure the education sector's growth and sustainability. BKIM, under Ministry of Higher Education, encourages universities to engage with the industry to improve teaching and learning environments, meet graduate employability needs, facilitate collaborative research and development, and contribute to the community through engagement activities. The CEO at Faculty Program is an initiative by MOHE that brings in top CEOs and industry players to share their knowledge and experience with students and the university community. For 2022 and 2023, CEOs from Yayasan Hasanah, Maxis Berhad, and CIMB Foundation have been appointed as the CEO at Faculty for IIUM to enhance the industry and academia collaboration. So today's seminar on empowering a sustainable quintuple helix ecosystem, Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia aims to discuss the potential of industry-academia partnership and their impact on the sustainability of the sector. The seminar promotes synergy between academia and industry for the benefit of government and the community. This seminar is a collaboration between IIUM, AKEPT, and BKIM, and we would like to express our sincere gratitude to BKIM for their invaluable support as the backbone of this event. Also, this seminar is being organized in conjunction of the 40th anniversary of the International Islamic University Malaysia. We are honored to celebrate this milestone with all of you today. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please join me in welcoming our esteemed guest, the Director of the Community and Industry Collaboration Division under the Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia, yang berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Syahril bin Abdullah, to deliver his welcome remarks. Let us give him a warm round of applause.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. Honorable Datuk Professor Dr. Nasruddin Mohammed, Director, Higher Education Leadership Academy, Ministry of Higher Education. Honorable Datuk Shahira Ahmed Bazari, Managing Director of Yayasan Hasanah. Honorable Professor Dr. Abdul Aziz Rauf, Dean, Institute of Islamic Thought and Civilizations, IIUM. Honorable Mr. Ko Yuan Hing, Head of Network Partnership Strategy, Maxis Berhad. Senior Management of IIUM, UMC members, Deans, Directors, our online participants. As we are still in the month of Shawwal, I would like to take this opportunity to wish all of you Selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri. May Allah SWT accept our deeds. Ladies and gentlemen, our seminar on empowering a sustainable quintuple helix ecosystem aims to share the best practice of sustainable quintuple helix collaborations with industry and to learn from the current CEO at faculty on how the industry could empower communities, academic institutions, and the government as well sustain the environments. The Ministry of Higher Education strongly support collaborations and linkages between universities and industries to strengthen an ecosystem of sharing between industries and universities and to integrate various roles from the government's input and benefit to community and the environments. The roles of BKIM are to ensure the success of the implementations of the Plan Pembangunan Pendidikan Malaysia 2015 to 2025. I would like to share that one of our focus is to elevate collaborations between universities and industries. Since 2015, we have established program, namely CEO at faculty. The first batch involved 24 CEOs from various private government linkages, companies, and multinational companies. Until 2023, there were 155 of them. The idea of having CEO at Faculty program derived from the term learn from the pros. This program encouraged the sharing of knowledge and expertise between academics and industries. Among the top benefits of CEO at Faculty is to increase graduate employability through industrial attachment. This could also eliminate the risk of mismatched job and also poor succession planning at the academic leadership in universities. Ladies and gentlemen, along the way, we keep improving and looking for the best method to enhance the involvement of industries at universities. As such, we at BKIM fully support Quintuple Helix relations, which involve academic institutions, industries, communities, governments, and environments. Universities are evolving from the academics who are working among themselves towards the Quintuple Helix, whereas academics, industries, governments, and communities are working together for the benefit of the society and also environments. We believe these relations will become a platform for academic institutions to get more engagement with industries and furthermore, bring more benefit in the form of shared expertise, job opportunities, industrial attachment, and collaborative grant for academic and also administrator. We anticipate participants from public university, private college and universities, and everyone here, either physically or virtually, agree that we cannot work in silo. The key of success is having everyone working together. For sustainability of Quintuple Helix model, we must mobilize staff and students to work side by side with industry through organizing programs, involvements in activities in campus, off campus, virtual program, joint effort in getting grant and engagement series in context of leadership at academic institutions. Our effort as today is to ensure our academic institutions could help towards the relations of Madani. We need a balanced graduates, and to produce Insan Madani, the first step begin at the universities. We are at BKIM are ready to assist the university in getting more engagement with industry. Hopefully, this seminar will be an eye-opener for all of you to explore opportunities to collaborate with industries, community, and government agency. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Syahril, for your insightful welcome remarks. We deeply appreciate the profound insights and knowledge shared by you. Now, I would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Azami, Director of the Office of Industrial Link, to present a small token of appreciation to Yang Berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Syahril. Thank you, Yang Berbahagia Datuk. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to invite our next distinguished guest to deliver his welcome remarks. He is the Director of Akademi Kepimpinan Pendidikan Tinggi under the Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia, a renowned academician and an expert in the field of education. Please welcome Yang Berbahagia Datuk Professor Dr. Nasruddin Muhammad.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. MC, self-ceremony for this morning. It is indeed a great pleasure, especially for me, to be here among you today. First, let me perhaps take this opportunity to salute my fellow friends here, brothers and sisters. The Honorable Yang Berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Sharif, he has to make way for another important event in KL. The Director, Community and Industry Collaboration Division, MOHI. The Honorable Yang Berbahagia Datuk Syahira Ahmad Basari, Managing Director of Yayasan Hasanah. The Honorable Professor Dr. Abdul, Dean, Institute of Islamic Thought and Civilization, International Islamic University, Malaysia. The Honorable Mr. Koo Yuen Hing, Head of Network, Partnerships and Strategy, Maxis Berhad. And last but not least, senior managements of IIUM, UMC members, deans, directors, brothers and sisters. It is indeed a great pleasure for us to be here. And I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala most profoundly for His mercy. I also wish to extend a very warm welcome to the seminar on empowering a sustainable quintuple helix ecosystem, which is a seminar, a collaborative effort between International Islamic University, Malaysia, IIUM, Higher Education Malaysia, Higher Education Leadership Academy, AKEPT, or Akademi Kepimpinan Pendidikan Tinggi, Kementerian Pengajian Tinggi, Malaysia. And this program gathers academic from all over the country, especially from the Departments of Higher Education or JPT. The program gathers also many industrial leaders across the nation, Malaysia, to share their insights and thoughts on leadership issues surrounding higher education and as a whole, generally. Today, we are honored indeed to have distinguished speakers to share their experiences and wisdom on their field. Ladies and gentlemen, here or via online platform, the Ministry of Higher Education, MOHI, highlights the importance of bridging academic and industry as an impetus towards healthy growth of our educational sector, which would ensure its competitiveness, relevance, and resilience to market trends and changes. In line with that, Bahagian Kolaborasi Industri and Masyarakat, or better known as BKIM, under the purview of Datuk Syaril just now, which is placed under the Ministry of Higher Education, Malaysia, encourages all universities to engage with the industry to continuously advance their teaching and learning environment to meet the needs of graduate employability, to accelerate collaborative research and development by the two entities, and also to contribute to the society through community engagements. Mutual and reciprocal relationship between universities and industries help to strengthen, and industries help to strengthen both the academia and the industry in developing the society. Furthermore, smart partnership between industry and academia and hope to propel our national economy towards prosperity, which in turn would foster and nurture the development of graduates that are harmonious and well-rounded with smart and sharp skills. The collaboration between academia and industry is also heightened with a more inclusive participation of government and community. And together, these four entities will lead to a more inclusive and impactful collaboration. Such a collaboration epitomizes a quintuple helix model. The seminar on empowering a sustainable quintuple helix ecosystem is an avenue which is meant to bring together academia, industry, government agencies, and also community to deliberate on the potential of mobilizing industry-academic partnership towards an impactful and sustainable synergy that benefit the government and the community. As more and more engagements address the importance of having entities of university, industry, government agencies, and community, this seminar will provide participants with avenues for knowledge and experience sharing with peers and to discuss the best practices and ways to go ahead. The implementation of the seminar is to achieve its main goal on sharing best practices of Quintuple Helix, which is in the forms of collaborations and engagement, plus discussion and whatnot. It also helps to engage more people from the industry on the insights and challenges that could inform the academia and students on how the industry empowers communities, academic institutions, and the government, and to provide a platform and environment for the industry to meet the university and engage management leaders, lecturers, researchers, and students as their potential collaborators. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to thank all collaborating organizers once again for organizing this seminar, and I applaud such an occasion as this program today provides the platform for such leaders to communicate their ideas and share their insights that might help others. It is hoped that this will be a fruitful program for all, and I look forward to witnessing the seminar on empowering a sustainable Quintuple Helix ecosystem. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Yang Berbahagia Dato'. I would like to invite again Associate Professor Dr. Azami, the Director of Oil, IIUM, to present a small token of appreciation to Yang Berbahagia Dato' Prof. Dr. Nasruddin Muhammad. Thank you once again. Dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to announce that today's seminar is graced by esteemed academics from various public and private higher education institutions across Malaysia, including participants from Johor, Penang, Kuala Lumpur, and Selangor. And I would also like to highlight that this event is being broadcasted live on IIUM's official YouTube channel, enabling a wider audience to benefit from the valuable insights that will be shared throughout this seminar. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to invite our esteemed keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Abdul Aziz Bergod, the Dean of International Institute of Islamic Thought and Civilization, ISTEC IUM, to deliver his keynote speech. The title of his speech is Maqasid Ash-Shari'ah as the Principle to Empower a Sustainable Quintuple Helix Ecosystem. Let's all give him a warm welcome.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Good morning, everyone. Honorable Dr. Muhammad Shahril bin Abdullah, Director, Community and Industry Collaboration Division, Department of Higher Education, became Ministry of Higher Education. Honorable Dr. Professor Dr. Nasruddin Muhammad, Director, Higher Education Leadership Academy, AKEPT. Honorable Datu Shahira Ahmad Bazari, Managing Director of Yayasan Hasana. Honorable Mr. Ko Yun Hing, Head of Network, Partnership and Strategy, Maxis, Berhad, and the rest of the participants here. Brothers and sisters, those who are in the Senate Hall here and in the virtual platforms, once again, Assalamu alaikum, good morning. I have been asked to talk about this very difficult and very important topic, talking about Maqasid al-Sharia as a framework or principle or guideline for the guiding or orientation of this very sophisticated quintuple helix model or ecosystem for innovation. Before that, I think our rector, Prof. Dato Sri Zulkifli Abdul Razak, supposed to be the right person to address this issue and this topic, as he has been in the last 4 years in this university trying to develop a model of how the university and academia is not only linked to government, society, and industry, but also playing a role globally, based on a model which is, I will mention a few things about it later. Brothers and sisters, today here when we talk about Quintuple Helix, we are talking about a model for innovation, to innovate, to create value, to create wealth, to create development, to create prosperity, using a model which started long time ago with the triple helix model, in which the collaboration, the engagement, the relationship between industry, government, and university needs to be articulated in such a way to create this relation and to create the environment and the ecosystem in which government plays a great role, industry plays a great role, and also the university plays a great role. This model started 20 years ago or more, and if you look at the literature now, you will find that there are many very successful models of innovation using triple helix model. If you take, for example, Stanford University, you will find a very good and resilient and flexible model of how the industry, the government, and also the academia start engaging and creating innovation, creating ideas, solving problems. And then you take Harvard model, for example. You find models in Spain, in Europe. Actually, now in Europe, there is one European society for triple helix. It becomes like our AKEPT here, as a place of knowledge, expertise, guidance, linking people together, and so on and so forth. This model escalated into quadruple helix, brothers and sisters. Quadruple, later on, when the model was tested, we found that all our work in the end ends in the society and for the society, because all of us, whether the government or the industry or the university, are all society. We are all civil society. We are all members of that society. And in the end, what we do in the university, what we do in the industry, what we do in the government is actually to serve the society, the community, to develop and build developed, balanced societies. This is why the element of society become part and parcel of the model. And then society, civil society, NGOs, all these players and partners become playing a role in innovation. Later on, I tell you what we mean by innovation here and what is the missing link and why I'm today talking to you about maqasid al-Sharia or about this principles of Sharia, because my conclusion will be what the value Sharia or maqasid is adding to the model that we have today. So society become part and parcel of the model, and people, NGOs, partners become playing a role in executing the policies of the government, in developing the society, in helping the government, in serving the communities. So logically, it's actually has to be integrated this way. Industry, academia, society, and government. Later on in the recent years, what had happened is very huge issues and problems happened in the world and happening in the world today. Those issues and problems become of global scale. Environmental issues, big issues affecting economies, not of one country, but the whole world. What happens in Ukraine affects everybody in the world, and what happens in the US affects everybody. What happens in the Middle East or in Korea affects everybody. So the concept or the awareness about the environmental ecology, about the importance of environment and protecting environment and making balanced use of environment becomes very crucial, brothers and sisters. And that's why logically we have to take care of the environment in our model of innovation. This, and I think 5-10 years from now, you will find the sixth helix, maybe the one I'm going to mention to you today. So it's very important to understand briefly this development, brothers and sisters, because this model has created awareness about the need for engagement, the need for working together, the need to understand that the government alone cannot achieve all the objectives, all the things in development. The industry alone, though we consider they are the source of money, the source of helping, funding, the source for internship, the source for expertise, but alone they cannot do also. The universities, there was a time we are living in our silos. A professor, if you tell him, go and do entrepreneurial things, or the student tell him do he will tell you, no, that's not my job. Do commercialization of your patent or of your great idea. No, that's my job. I'm a professor. My job is to bring ideas to teach people. I think this now is of the past. So the mindsets, the culture need to change. In the universities, in the government, even the government, there was a time the government also becomes like top-down things. And do things this way. Now they realize that it's all about creating the culture of sharing, of caring, of working together, because no one of us can do it alone. And by logic, it's great to collaborate. It's great to cooperate. Now, theoretically speaking, this is the model. But practically to do this and to create that awareness in the industry, in academia, in society about working together for innovation, it needs change of culture, change of mindsets. And it takes long time. But I can say, alhamdulillah, in the last 10-15 years in Malaysia here, from my own observations, as I studied many models in Europe, in Spain, in Brazil now, this quintuple model is very sophisticated. In many areas in the society, in industry, in community, in universities, are creating projects that brings them together and translate ideas into solutions in all areas. In Malaysia here also, we are actually charting a new model of our own translation into the practical context. That's why I think our Prof. Dato was actually, he already summarized all the 7 minutes I talked before. When he said that we here created already that resilience, and now people are coming out because of the policies of the government, because of the industry also become very receptive, very helpful. The universities now already understand in Malaysia here that our survival is actually to engage with the industry and to show our creativity and innovation and see our ideas translated into solutions for the community, for the people, in the health sector, in the technology and science, in economy, dealing with the B40 issues and problems, dealing with all issues. This quintuple model can be applied everywhere. It's a model. It's about you, how you use it, how you shape it, how you deal with it, brothers and sisters. Now, how this model was developed in a Western context where the model there is more, when we talk about innovation, it's more from the perspective of, let's say, from the perspective of creating new inventions, new ideas, new solutions to solve problems. But there was no much emphasis on how this innovation, let's say, for example, today, talk about artificial intelligence, which is changing the whole world, changing everything, changing our way of work, changing our jobs, changing our future, our understanding, our solutions, our culture of work. Can we leave artificial intelligence just like that, free, and create all this type of innovation just like that? Or we need also to guide innovation, to guide artificial intelligence, to guide our work, to guide. So we need to have some kind of frameworks, guidelines that shape, guide our sophisticated innovation so that we don't destroy ourselves by ourselves. Because the innovation, which is the quintuple helix model or ecosystem, which is not linked to a body of values, of meanings, of maqasid, as we call it here, it will end up creating a very sophisticated innovation in which the human is defined maybe like a machine, or defined like a materialistic person, or defined like just a person with a single perspective. Taking into account, pendidikan negara philosophy, when we talk about insan sejahtera, or insan, or balanced human, or the harmonious human, is in our quintuple helix model, this meaning of the human. We are caring about this human and talking about the wellness and well-being of this human, and we are innovating things for serving this human, whether in the center of our understanding, this is the human we are talking about it, or the human who is more towards innovation, towards sophisticated wealth creation, towards all these type of things. That's where the question comes. This is why we need a guiding framework and principle that guides our innovation. We don't stop innovation in all areas, in all sectors, but when you innovate and get problem solving, you have to observe not only the code of ethics, but the soul ethics, the heart ethics. You know, there is one great professor from Harvard, long time ago, he wrote a book called Excellence Without a Soul. You know, Harvard University in the ranking is the #1 always in the world. But that professor, after 35 years, his conclusion is we got excellence without a soul. We got IQ, we got all these type of things. We innovate, we come up with solutions, we solve. But in the end, we miss the substance of things. That's why I say in Malaysia here, it's more of adding that balanced model of quintuple helix model in which our culture, our value system, our faith, worldview, play a greater role in our innovation. And that's, I think, from an Islamic perspective, a university like IIUM, its niche area is actually to provide this framework for innovation, for medical studies, for technology, for all these type of things, where we show the way, we lead the way in what does mean balanced innovation, in what does mean balanced technology, in what does mean balanced artificial intelligence, so that people, when they innovate and they create wealth or they create knowledge, they always observe the most important things in our life. Because if we just go as the model now, going and looking just for sophisticated creation of wealth without looking at the balancing things, whether values or wisdom or whatever thing, we will be facing a lot of trouble. And I see actually what you see today of the environmental issues, it's actually all the result of that type of innovation, that type of sustainability, which is single, looking at the phenomena of development or innovation from just one perspective. This is why when we come to quintuple helix, we talk about government, industry, society, environment, and also we talk about the university. Here also we need to create that balance, because any imbalance in the model and anyone stop from contributing, we will be facing a lot of trouble. Alhamdulillah, now we have the government provides the policies, facilitates, provides the funds. We have the industry provides the opportunities, sponsors the projects. And then we have the university, we got the minds, we got the people, we got the student. They go down, they do internship, they learn. All the model is there. It's now the efficiency of the universities and the industry, how to work. What are the kind of products that we bring, and they make difference. Now, having said this, it's important for us, from our perspective, to add this perspective of maqasid al-sharia. In simple terms, what is maqasid al-sharia? It's actually a value system that guides you to what is the best for the society, what is the best for people. In the jurisprudence terms, they call it what is the maslaha. The maslaha means what is the public interest of people. Anything that you do, innovation, creation of wealth, prosperity, economy, anything must fall within the public interest, interests people, provides the food, the health, the money, anything. Our ulama, our scholars of jurisprudence, they say there is one principle in jurisprudence says, where is the maslaha, where is the public interest, that's what God wants. That's what the Sharia wants. So what does this mean? Means that the maqasid Sharia, the whole model of maqasid Sharia is designed to serve the community, to achieve the objectives of the people, to achieve the objectives of the society. What are those maqasid? The maqasid, according to our ulama, there are 5 values, 5 big objectives. The protection of life. Protection of life. What does mean protection of life? Anything and their life, including the dignity of people, the wealth, the health, the shelter, the houses, the needs, the food, everything under this. And the protection of this life has 3 levels. The necessity, we call it the necessities, then the complementary values, and then the higher one. Someone, for example, is a rich person. He needs to drive an aeroplane. It's up to him. he need to drive a rocket, is up to him. But someone who is less, he can drive a car. Someone who is less, he can drive a motorbike. Someone he is less, he can walk. So the model of Maqasid al-Sharia is created in such a way, it's actually a value system of objectives to show how your innovation is guided by principles and by objectives, so that you create sophisticated, balanced societies and innovation, but you are always in the mainstream. You are always balanced, not going more towards this side or that side. So the protection of mind, the protection of intellect. What is the protection of intellect? It's all about innovation. It's about ijtihad. It's about creating knowledge. It's about going to the sky, going to the moon. It's about creating ideas, solving problems of COVID-19, solving problems of crimes, environment, whatever. It's all under this spectrum of protection of the mind. So protection of family, Nestle. What is protection of family? It's protection of the entire society. The needs of children, the needs of family, all are under the model. What about protection of wealth? In Islam, protection of wealth includes everything, including the environment. Because where our wealth comes from? It comes from the resources provided by God in nature. Our oil, our petrol, our gas, our electricity, our all this. So how come in our mindset, we want to take all these resources and create a luxurious life and destroy our house? Maqasid Sharia says no, it's wrong to do innovation that destroys your environment. To the extent that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in one of his hadith, in one of the tradition, he said, faith and Iman is like over 70 degrees, 70 levels of faith. People think faith only the 6 pillars of faith. You believe in God, in angels, in scriptures, in qaza and qadar and all. No, our Prophet Muhammad said these are just the pillars. But the real faith is, he says it's like 70 degrees. The lowest one is protecting your environment, removing harm from your environment, the close environment and the far environment. The highest one is La ilaha illallah. In between, all what you do is part and parcel of your faith and your Iman. Imagine we teach our student in the university this, that part of your Iman is to clean your toilet. You clean your asrama. You clean this. You clean this. That's your faith. God will ask you hereafter. What kind of a model that creates this motivation, this objective, this meaning to you? So brothers and sisters, the last one is the protection of faith. Now, having said that, for your information, this is all my introduction. I didn't go to the topic yet. Okay, so bear with me, but I will finish in 25 minutes from the start, not from now. Okay, so now if you see here, I just brought for you here those who are in the industry and the practitioners. They can see how the maqasid, these 5 values, are actually you take the 17 SDGs, the 17 SDGs, because our university here has developed a model in the last 3 years or 4 years, where we integrate the Maqasid al-Sharia, sustainable development in one model, and then the societal action and things. Now, if you see here, all the 17 SDGs and the coming SDGs in the future can be all articulated under the model of Maqasid al-Sharia. And when we articulate it under Maqasid, means the way how we work is guided by values, by ethics, by anything we do in innovation or in governance or in management. In whatever thing we do, we are guided by that or those set of values where when we deal with industry or we deal with society, we feel actually it's part and parcel of our duties as people or vicegerent on earth. So I will just show you this one and I move forward just to show you that for your information, this quintuple helix, also triple and quadruple, many of our scholars specializing in banking, Islamic banking and finance, in halal studies, in many other areas, they are actually translating the maqasid into those areas. And I think that's a good move to show that maqasid is not only something of the past or something which is just a religious thing, doesn't have anything to do with economics or with no, the other way around. It's all, maqasid sharia is in the core of innovation. Let's see now. Now, this one also has been identified in another way, so that for you, those who are in the industry and other areas, you appreciate and see how this model talks about faith, life, intellect, lineage, wealth, and in each one, like for example, lineage, family integrity, health, environment, technology, all this part and parcel of the model. So what do you do in the industry, or what the university does? Create ideas in these areas to solve problems. So the model is actually good to be added to this quintuple helix, where we can, after the 5 dimensions, we add the dimension of values, meaning, culture, human being, soul, to be in the center of our quintuple helix. In this way, we really create a balanced model from our own perspective. You miss, as I will show you now here, I put it in another way. If you see this iceberg here, and how do you articulate the quintuple helix in the literature now, it's more towards, what is up there? Talk about civil society, we talk about research and innovation, we talk about labor, people, policies, management, we talk about industry and their support. All this is great. It's what we see and what we talk and what we try to articulate and do. Creativity, we give incentives, artificial intelligence, issues and areas of research that we develop. That's all great. But what is important to complement this is what you see down here. That's what creates a really human, value-driven quintuple helix model, where you create the real wellness, the real well-being, not just from the materialistic perspective of numbers, but from the perspective of the human and the needs of the human. So here, these are the important things that we really need to look at. And if you notice here, protection of life, protection of society, responsibility, wisdom, culture, values. These are the things that we need in the industry, in the academia, and in other places to really advance, so that we back our industry things, our internship, our funding of things, our sophisticated solutions with meanings, with values, with guidelines that really create the real meaning of life. So that's why when we talk about maqasid al-sharia as a framework for quintuple helix, we need really to understand this. Okay, so here I come to the dimension, who is the human in our model, the human or man, or we are men in the society. And what the quintuple helix is meant to do is actually to develop us, to develop the community, to develop people. These are the people, these are the needs of people. That's what Sharia or Maqasid Sharia says about this human. So inshallah, we work hard, especially from the academia also, to shape and guide the Quintuple Helix model, where we see that innovation that is more towards the human, towards people, and oriented that way. I move forward here. Now, I put it in another way. You know that there are 17 SDGs. Okay, you check those SDGs, and what is missing in those SDGs is, to me, is one of the most sophisticated, good models of sustainable development that we know today. It is backed by 193 countries, the United Nations. Most of the countries of the world use it as a guide for their development. It's great. It's great. So, but when you look at all these SDGs, they handle the well-being, they handle the infrastructures, they handle the environment, innovation is there, all are there. But you will notice that the things related to culture, to values, to spirituality are not actually in the core of the model. Maybe in the margin, or maybe it's not there. So our university here, especially our rector, is actually the first in this university to moot this idea of SDG 18. And he based it on his concept of incense jatra. And that incense jatra is actually the balanced human we are all looking for. Whether we are Muslim or non-Muslim, we are looking for a balanced human being. So, brothers and sisters, that's why from Maqasid al-Sharia perspective, for us to balance the SDGs, we need to introduce, not necessarily we can call it SDG 18, a new one, but the focus. What it tells is all about this type of things. So, under Maqasid al-Sharia, we want a model of Quintuple Helix that emphasizes 9 areas. And I didn't, from the beginning until now, I used only one hadith from the Prophet. I didn't use any Quran. I didn't use anything to tell you that what I'm saying is more towards your fitrah, your mind. What I'm going to tell you, all these 9 here, are actually what the Sharia teaches. But I don't need to put the term Sharia there to convince you that it is Sharia. So, brothers and sisters, you need a model, or Maqasid Sharia adds a perspective to the Quintuple Helix that emphasizes, number 1, humanized economy. And what does mean humanized? More based on human needs, balanced human, and so on. Number 2, ethical leadership, governance, and management. Whether you are in industry or in university or in the government or anywhere, you need actually ethical leadership, governance, and management. And that's what Sharia really advances. Sharia tells you, be the richest person, be the richest country in the world, but observe justice, observe governance, observe values, observe ethics, observe the rights of other people. The other thing is value-driven society, brothers and sisters. We need to advance that concept of value-driven. As you see what's happening in the world today, and how many things of our human nature are being destroyed. So what is how do we answer? The answer should be a balanced value people, a balanced value society, so that others who are unethical, they can see in us a role model, so that they balance themselves. So they see. Now, balanced human being, which is in the Islamic terms, we call Khalifa or vicegerent. Every human is a vicegerent of God, as long as you follow what he says, whatever you do. Now, ethical ecology and valorized nature. That's what Maqasid says. We need an ethical ecology. We don't want destruction of nature, of environment, and this. So, brothers and sisters, valorized nature, you have a value for nature. You have a love for nature. Because the model before, the positivistic model, the conventional, more materialistic model, created a relation with nature which is really disturbing. And that's the end. You see what's happening in global warming. All this is not, it's not done by nature. It's not done, it's done by us. It's the people who did all this. It's all the people. So we need to start from the people. So the other thing is balanced civilization and culture, integrated knowledge and education. Here we talk about value-driven education and responsible science, technology, and innovation. You can have science, you can have technology, you can have artificial intelligence, but is it responsible or not? ChatGPT become a tool for plagiarism, become a tool for this, a tool for many sophisticated artificial intelligence applications already here and coming in the future, very dangerous. So brothers and sisters, this is the model, how we wanted to see Maqasid al-Sharia articulating our innovation. You see in the center there, we have the Maqasid, and then the major values that we need: wisdom, goodness, compassion, empathy, balance, responsibility, integrity, and justice. Our Datu Muhammad Shahril, before he left, he mentioned about, in his speech, he mentioned about Madani model or civil society model. Actually, I'm talking about that. So brothers and sisters, we need really to create an innovation that is more sophisticated. And now, last thing to tell you is about IIUM. This is the model developed by the university. In the center is Pendidikan philosophy, falsafa. And then we have the Maqasid Sharia, we have the sustainable development, we have the incense jatra, and we have the concept of mercy to all mankind, rahmatan, one of the big values of the Maqasid Sharia. You are mercy to all mankind. Can we do it as Muslim? Can we translate it into real models of innovation, society, community? Yeah, we can do it. Let's do it. So brothers and sisters, from our model in the university, our university mooted these ideas: value-driven university, responsible research innovation university, value entrepreneurial university. Here where we need to do a lot. And I think Brother Azami is doing his best. And I think Stanford is one of the great models of entrepreneurial university, where industry, academia, and all this become part and parcel. Maybe sometimes in the future, we can have professors having their own companies. We can have students having their own companies, and we support them. We can have industry also. All of them, we give them industrial PhD and get them in to become innovators, and so on and so forth. So brothers and sisters, we have also community university. It's not just community service. The whole university should be in the center of the community to create ideas and views and solutions, brothers and sisters. With this, I thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Prof, for your valuable contribution. You truly have set the stage for a productive and engaging seminar. We deeply appreciate it. As a token of gratitude, I would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Azami, Director of Oil, to present a small token of appreciation to Professor Dr. Abdul Aziz Bergun. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of the keynote speech and the opening of this seminar. I would like to request all participants to remain seated, but the speakers and VIP to stand at the back for a group photo session to commemorate this memorable occasion. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for Mr. Koo to get ready and then we'll proceed to the plenary session. Distinguished guests, professors, ladies and gentlemen, we will now move on to the highly anticipated plenary session of today's seminar on empowering a sustainable quintuple helix ecosystem. We have an exciting plenary session ahead of us featuring 3 distinguished speakers who will be sharing their insights on the ecosystem of the quintuple helix. Initially, we had a representative from CIMB Foundation, but I regret to inform you that he can't be with us today due to unforeseen circumstances. So for today, we'll have two presentations from the industry and one from IUM. After each presentation, we will have a question and answer session moderated by the Deputy Director of Oil, IUM, Associate Professor, Dr. Khalilah Zakaria. So let's get ready to engage in some stimulating discussions. For the first plenary session, we will have a representative from Maxis Berhad. Dear guests and attendees, Maxis is a prominent figure in the field of communication technology in Malaysia. Their corporate responsibility goals involve using technology to enhance communities and promote positive living. They focus primarily on education and community empowerment, festive charity, and humanitarian relief. One notable example is their Maxis e-Kelas program, which provides free access to quality educational content for underprivileged students in rural areas, benefiting over 73,000 students across the country. With that being said, I'm sure many of you are eager to learn more about how Maxis drive digital adoption in education. Without further delay, I present to you Mr. Koh Yuan Hing, Head of Network Partnerships and Strategy at Maxis Berhad, to deliver his presentation on the topic of optimizing sustainable digitalization and technology for education. Let's all give him a warm round of applause.
Honorable Yang Bahagia Datuk Syahira Ahmad Bazari, Managing Director of Yayasan Hasana, Honorable Professor Dr. Abdul Aziz Begut, Dean, Institute of Islamic Thought and Civilization, International Islamic University, Malaysia, and last but not least, Senior Management of IIUM, UMC members, deans, directors, brothers and sisters. Very good morning to all of you. So I'm very excited and honored to be here today to be able to present to you a view from the industry perspective as an industry player, specifically on the topic of how we can uplift digitalization as to comply to the very spirit of Quintuple Helix, right? So I'm going to first start by giving you a refreshed perspective of our company, Maxis. So our company Maxis is 27 years old today, all right? So you might know Maxis as this prepaid, postpaid SIM cards, but we are way beyond that right now. We would like you to think that that we are a fully converged network provider, okay? We are moving towards a tech-co direction, right? Do not see us as someone who just provide you with internet connectivity. I'm going to go into more details on we are going beyond that. We are going into a lot of innovation space, and then you judge for yourself. All right. So just a bit of background that we are the rank first in terms of quality of network. Since 2016, we have around 11 million subscribers right now, and we have the widest footprint in terms of fiber, and that is those fiber to the home, right? So we collaborate. I think Professor and also Dato mentioned earlier, we cannot work in silo in this new digital era, and that's what we are doing. We are also collaborating a lot in terms of this fiber outreach to the nation. And finally, because we have these two very distinctive and very key assets in providing connectivity, we also build an intelligent network on top of this mobile network, fixed network, and also to support upwards what's in the value chain above and beyond that, and that is cloud, security, and also managed services, right? So that is why, all in all, we wanted to be seen as an ICT company moving forward, an ICT company that will provide converged services. Okay. So in any case, anywhere around the world, connectivity is a prerequisite for digitalization. Digitalization cannot happen without connectivity. All right. And the last speak of the year of last year is that what is the biggest driver of digitalization? It's actually COVID-19, right? So when the start of COVID-19, everyone scrambled because connectivity, you need to digitalize yourself, your lifestyle. You have team meetings, you have this remote presence, and all that requires connectivity. All right. So on that principle, Maxis, we undertook the responsibility to provide a network that will be that's robust enough, okay, that's far-reaching enough, and that will provide enough width in terms of coverage, depth in terms of the speed to provide this as a foundation layer to catalyze digitalization. Okay, and how do we do that? Right, this is mainly 27 years of experience and also and our assets. Right, so to just give you a little bit of perspective, we have 11,000 base stations, right? Smattering of base stations on rooftops and also those macro towers. And we have 21,000 kilometers of fiber, okay? And those fibers caters for broadband to your home. And also we also backhaul all those data between the regions, northern region, central region, southern region. And we use, but connectivity is really beyond that. What you really see are those towers, fiber to the home, whether or not you have this fiber coverage, but it's more complicated than that, right? So we have to backhaul this data somewhere. And there's one part that the society might not know is on the core network and also the breakouts towards the internet, towards the content providers, right? And that is actually also very complicated part, right? But we take this as a holistic network, okay? And this is the how would I say, the foundation layer, okay? To provide the connectivity everywhere. We want the society to think one day, you don't have to worry about whether it's wireless, whether it's 4G, 5G, whether it's Wi-Fi or FTTH. Basically, just connectivity. I want to be connected, okay? And that is the philosophy that we are gearing towards, all right? And of course, we also do have some satellite links, and this is not many people might know, okay? So we provide some coverage towards those very remote areas where by the law of physics, you can't really use microwave, or you can't really put a fiber, towards the remote area of Sabah and Sarawak, okay? Yep, again, so a refresh Maxis. So we wanted to be in the forefront to capture this, to empower, we would say, the new digitalization era, in this new digital era, right? So we are focusing on 5 pillars, right, to support this. So the first one is, fully subscribing to the Malaysian digital agenda. Okay, there are a lot of this initiative that's ongoing by the ministry, so I can quote a few, right? So Jandela is providing coverage to all the rural remote areas, so everybody has equal access. We don't want the kids, in some of remote pedalaman who do not even know how to use Microsoft Teams. That is something that we want to bridge, the digital divide. Okay. And there's also something, that is the upcoming, you heard a lot about this Industrial Revolution 4.0, okay? The ministry, so it was just 2 days ago, the ministry has launched with a World Economic Forum, a Center for Industrial Revolution, right? And we wanted to play a part in that because, and we can play a part in that. So we are very excited on all this prospect, we will provide with our know-how and expertise in all this. And we also have this, digital readiness index. We can actually assess, if at which level certain entities or certain companies are at, so that they can actually plan a path or strategize to move towards digitalization. And of course, converged network. We do simply start by, if you subscribe to Maxis or if you subscribe to any of the telco provider, you have a home broadband, you have your mobile network, okay? You see it as one account, like I said, right? Connectivity, okay? So and then we put in some automation in that, so that it will be for you to feel that it is really a connectivity provider, okay? If you want connectivity, just come to us, and then everything else is taken care for. And ICT player, I mentioned about that just now. So we wanted to also rebrand ourselves, to be an ICT player. We wanted to become a system integrator and just move up the value chain. We have the connectivity layer, okay? And now it's about, tapping into what we can do next, right? Managed services for some IT companies. Some SMEs, they may not want to have an IT company to start up something big, right? So they rely on some of these services to set up, some IT services, and then that's where we can help, okay? And the ecosystem orchestrator, another pillar we're looking into, and this is something that we're going to put a lot of effort in, right? So we wanted to be the pivot, that to pull all the industry players, vendors, partners, technology partners, AWS, Microsoft, and also Google, for example, right? And then we wanted to ideate, we want to innovate, right? The thing is, like Rauf said, and like Dr. Shahril had mentioned, we can no longer work in silo. The technology of yesterday, is competitive, right? So you develop something in-house, you wanted to be competitive, you maintain your competitive. But in this new era, this is definitely not workable. We rely on each other more so than ever. That is one thing that we're looking into as well. And also we wanted to go into specific industries and verticals, oil and gas, all right? Because every, now the connectivity is very agile, okay? High speed, low latency, but it can cater to different needs, all right? And all these industries will have a different need. Education, we have a different need, right? Academia, especially, we will have a different need in terms of the use cases, and then the sort of application, that we have to run on top of the connectivity. So we are also trying to explore into this space where we will partner, and then we will look in and do a lot of research, It is in our plan to also to ideate, innovate, and incubate with industry players, academia, universities, to come up with some of these dedicated use cases. Okay, contextually to education, it doesn't run very far from our principle. What we do is that we want to provide connectivity and availability as a very base foundation. That's the basis for everything, the base of evolution, the base of the evolution, okay? But to move up, but it has to be sustainable, right? It's no good putting something very spanking new, good, and then there's no maintenance and there's no sustainable development over it, right? So the next level we always thought of, once you have it, it must be optimizable, okay? So what does it mean? Some of this technology that we put in, all right, must be agile, and must be adaptable. So I give an example. You may not know that actually 2 years ago, your voice call is not as clear as today, okay? What you're getting in today's voice call is a HD voice, okay? So yes, it's HD voice, super clear, and it's super fast, okay? So the moment that you press a button, you cannot cancel it because it's that fast, okay? But these are some of the values that we wanted to put in our technology. It must be upgradable and sustainably upgradable, okay? Another example would be we always move the needle of our performance. For example, 3 meg, we wanted to ensure that everyone gets at least 3 meg in 90% area of Malaysia, but we are moving that beyond 3 meg into 5 meg maybe. Because why? Because we want to watch a Netflix with HD resolution, that might need 4.5 meg and above, all right? So this is something that we are also putting a lot of focus on: sustainable development, upgradable, optimizable, right? So you have the technology, you must be able to upkeep it, to optimize it continuously. And finally, when you have this, right, the technology itself takes care of itself, then you can actually catalyze a lot of ideas and thoughts on applications, right? One such example is our Maxis e-class, right? So it's a totally free to all education platform, okay? It's a part of our community service program. So what does it do is that it's developed by Maxis, and our aim is to provide knowledge consumption on demand to all students, right? And under this program right now, there is this syllabus that is aligned, attuned to the Ministry of Education, is provided as an after class towards the underprivileged children, maybe in the remote areas, right? And then they can actually go through this actual experience of being taught by a teacher if they do not have that sort of privilege, in these areas, and they can actually do it at their own pace. Okay, so this is one of a manifestation, okay, of how we build the foundation on connectivity, and we have to continuously optimize it, and then we ensure to have an application that's on top of it, and that brings value. Okay. So I talked a bit about connectivity and how important it is, and we can reach to you, to consumer via many modes: fiber, wireless, 5G, Wi-Fi, and everything. Okay, but I want to give you a perspective of what really happens behind that, right? And why is it so difficult? And sometimes, This is not, this is towards the general public. They say, oh, you just want to build a base station and then, you know, get that place covered. It's not so easy, you know, it goes way beyond that. I just give you maybe a little bit more perspective in terms of this, right? So what we do is that we make sure that we have the best available technology, doable, no problem, because this is a very mature technology with a lot of good technology vendors that are out there. And we have the asset, you know, that is given to us, you know, from the government, the asset, the spectrum asset, okay? And just I'm going to touch a little bit about that, right? So even that actually is there's a complication towards that. So for example, we are allocated 4 spectrum bands, right? I'm just going to go through it quickly: 900, 1800, 2100, 2600. Okay, the principle of that is very simple. The lower the frequency, okay, the further it can penetrate, it can shoot out, okay, and it can penetrate the wall. And the higher the frequency, it can actually carry more data, but it loses its strength when it goes through objects, right? So it's simple as that. So just imagine with these 4 bands, we have to do a lot of design and science to know, you know, where to place the transmitter, the base station, and this is where the ecosystem, the society ecosystem plays a big part, right? So fiber, you need to duct roads, right? And we have to go through all those PBT, that is the local councils, pihak berkuasa tempatan, and some of these maybe rooftop shop lot rooftop owners, or maybe the land owners and everything. Okay, so there are challenges in there, not regulation or the policy, and you'll be very surprised that different councils have different policies. Hulu Langat might be very different from Sepang, very different. Okay, so we have to manage it. We take that in our stride because that is part of the process that we have to enable. But you know, I just want to give you a very good example, a very simple example. You know, there was one when we tried to cover an area, there was complaint, you know, that there's no coverage in this kampong, right? So when we went there, and then we said, okay, we're gonna put in a base station, okay, mobile base station just to cover. But the request is that, you know, yeah, I want the coverage, but I do not want your radio wave to hit me. So I want the coverage without radio wave, right? So just to tell you some of the challenges, right? These are some of the societal challenge and awareness that we have to look into and have to solve together. Okay, and also another one of our biggest challenge hurdles will be towards the rural area to cover. I think everyone is aware about Viviana, the case of this Sabah student who couldn't get connectivity. So there are technology to solve that. Okay, again, there are some challenges that prevents us, you know, from getting to them, you know, and we are actively trying to solve this in an ecosystem with the university, with the government, the local councils, right? We can use satellite, for example. Okay, but then again, you know, another facet of the challenge will be to maintain it. Okay, you put a satellite receiver there, it has to be powered, and some of these areas might not even have you know, power supply to the village, and you have to go into solar, you have to go into diesel generator sets and all of those, right? So this is just to give you an overview of the complexity, and then also the responsibility in this society ecosystem as whole to support this. All right, and once we have that, like I said, technology takes care of itself, connectivity is there, mature, then we can actually ideate and generate all these ideas about, you know, application and services. So one of it is E-class that is actually developed by Maxis. Like I said, you know, we have all these syllabuses that's attuned and aligned to Ministry of Education from year 4 to I think it's Form 5, all right? Then who knows, it might be in the future, your kuliah can also be done such a way, okay, where you can actually consume at your own pace, on demand, anytime, anywhere, okay? So this is something that we're looking into as well, okay? So, and this program is open. You don't have to be a Maxis subscriber to enjoy this. So this is something that we wanted to really reach out, okay? Because if you put a limit, you know, that you cannot access this via Maxis, they're restricting, they're limiting it, okay? We have a responsibility to do this. Okay, I've been talking about what we have been doing now, up to now, okay? And so it is quite clear. We've tried to provide the best connectivity, and then we try to do something, for the education sector via e-class. But I want to put your attention to what is coming next, right? And this is super interesting. Okay, so and there's a lot of hype, there's like an overhyping, of technology. You'll be hearing a lot. What do you hear most nowadays? 5G, AI, ML, cloud computing, right? Or maybe or cloud everywhere. So those are the technology that's available. Okay, and but you have to see, right, what the technology, what sort of value that the technology brings to you. Okay, and there's a research that says that in the upcoming 5 to 10 years there will be a totally different landscape in terms of lifestyle. All right, and this technology ecosystem, we have to work together to bring this experience to you. These are not technology, these are experience. What are the experiences? There are bots everywhere. This is actually in place right now. Your phone has bots. You are unconsciously using bots all the time. Okay, ChatGPT is a bot, but with AI. Okay, so and then you have all this AR, VR. It has yet to take off here in Malaysia as rapidly as, for example, countries like South Korea and China. But they are already fire starter in terms of this adoption, right? So people are actually trialing out AR, VR experience. Also, there will be zero touch lifestyle. I think this is a generational issue. A lot of people, they want to get into objective with the lowest click possible. If possible, I don't want to touch anything. I just want to say, and I will get it done. So this is also one culture that we are seeing is developing. Okay, and autonomous drive, we are already trialing this. It is in place. We are also trying to ascertain whether or not in this part of the world it will be applicable. Workforce, robotic workforce, a lot of interest. This requires again the technology ecosystem of 5G and all the adjacent technology like cloud to work together to bring this robotic workforce. And there's also an ethical debate of whether or not this will replace the workforce of do we need people? But the short answer is no. But I'm not going to cover that in here. It's not the topic. That I'm a subject matter expertise. But then the answer is really no. And AI ML, this is something that also you hear everywhere. ChatGPT, AI ML. There's another new version of ChatGPT, generative ChatGPT. So that would be way more powerful. And in Maxis, for example, we are also using. We have already inculcated and also applied AI in some of our operations. So, for example, some of these sites, when at night, when there's nobody using, the tower is still radiating with full power, right? So we wanted to have technology that that if there's nobody there, not a single soul that's using connectivity, we turn down the base station, okay, to lower the carbon footprint. All right, this is something that we are also evaluating. Big data, I think as an academia, IIUM definitely can relate and resonate with this. Big data is everywhere right now, and it's going to be more to come. Cloud, 5G, those are the two prominent trends, I think, last year. And also digital governance is what Prof said, just now. Everyone is a digital entity in this new world. You, me, everyone, all right? We can't escape. So there has to be some sort of digital governance, of who we are, okay? And where's the barrier on that? And what I'm trying to re-emphasize again is that all this works together, okay? It requires a technology ecosystem. And the ecosystem, the most prominent ecosystem that will support this sort of trends and development, 5G, AI, edge computing, cloud, and this purpose-built application. And this is the last part that is very interesting because academia can play a very, very big role. You'd be surprised that a lot of these latest applications in China are actually developed by the university students. Yeah, so they are more attuned, all right, to the requirement, to the desire, and then there's a big interest in there and actually accelerate and catalyze the entire development cycle. So I want to give you a bit of perspective. This is maybe it's going to be interesting. This one is something that you can relate to, okay, on how technology ecosystem might work for you. All right. I'm going to start. I'm going to take AR and VR as an example. So I think if I talk about AR, VR, everybody's here is like, yeah, it's just AR, it's buzz, it's hype. All right. That is because we haven't reached the stage where it will be profound for you, where you will be immersive for you, right? So right now you have this AR, we call it stage 1 AR, VR, where you just put it on and you just see something, okay, but it's nothing special, right? It's a bit low resolution, and it's not that exciting. Stage 2, I think basically you just put your phone into this AR, VR headset. Again, yeah, okay, but there's nothing so special. But when stage 3 comes in, this is where you're gonna have a whole new level of experience, right? You need to have high speed. You need to have this low latency to support, and then the goggle is gonna be light. It doesn't have any processing on the goggle itself. You go back to cloud, okay? And that is why you need to have the last mile that is fast, 5G, and then you need to have this cloud that is very near to your application, your device, okay? So because the latency is gonna be less than 20 milliseconds, all right? And just give you a bit of flavor, right? 20 milliseconds, how fast that is. Human eye blink, right? The fastest eye blink you do is 100 milliseconds, right? So, and why 20 milliseconds? Why is there such, 20 milliseconds? Why is it so important? 5G, low latency, less than 20 milliseconds. That is because for VR, there's something metric that is called motion to photon sensor. So what it means is that when you move your head and the picture that you're seeing does not move within the 20 millisecond, you will basically be dizzy and you will have, they call this a warming factor, right? You feel like, no, it's not setting. So it's not usable. So for that to really happen, a good VR experience, you need to have this sort of latency. And that's why, you need to have this ecosystem to support it. Not only 5G, 5G alone cannot do this. You have to have cloud, you have to have edge computing, okay? Just to give you a perspective of that. And then, when you go all the way to the end, the retina, this is something that is very dangerous. For example, you blur the line between reality and virtual reality, So it is the same resolution like how you see it this way, right? Human sees in about 600 megapixels. You see it in that way, so that's blurring the line. So for me, it's scary. So yeah, and I want to talk a bit about this technology ecosystem and how we can deliver that, for industry and also enterprises as well, right? So we just have to look, people talk about a lot of manufacturing are going 5G now. What do they actually mean, right? So they want to up the efficiency. They want to elevate the efficiency. So for example, in a lot of this manufacturing, car manufacturing or electrical components manufacturing, they have a lot of robots, right? So a lot of these robots, each of it has a CPU. So, and for this CPU, first, it costs money. Secondly is, you have to wire it across everywhere. So what 5G with cloud and with multi-edge computing does is that, you take away this complexity. Every of these robots is wired back to a central brain, okay, that is nearby. And that requires the edge computing. And you can actually, run the operation much faster, okay? You don't have to spend as much, okay? So this, again, is a showcase of technology ecosystem for an enterprise, all right? And on top of that, I mentioned about some of these use cases, specific use cases like within the factory, logistics, energy, and all this has to be developed. And no two single application is alike in terms of the use case, right? So they might have a different latency requirement. They might have a different language how to move the robot. So I must emphasize that this is where academia, in terms of this research arm, can play a big role in this. So yeah, then let me fall back to education. What is in it, and also on this technology ecosystem. So you'll be looking something like VR, AR teaching, all right, hologram teaching. You'll have wall of garden. The concept is that not anywhere, everywhere. You get education. You get to liaise with your teacher, to engage with educators, and you have all those smart campus and automation of teachers' administrative tasks, right? So there's also very interesting is that there's a university, something I forgot the name. They're developing a counter GPT. So you submit your thesis via ChatGPT. they have a anti the counter ChatGPT detection system. All right. So that is via AI and also via 5G. All right. So but there's one thing that I think is often neglected is that the industry player, us included, we only look and emphasize a lot on the technology ecosystem, but there's another ecosystem which is the more relevant to, I think, to the Quintuple Helix, which is the innovation ecosystem. Okay, and this ecosystem brings in all the players of the industry that is that will make this work. Because with the technology ecosystem, we are clapping one hand, it won't work. We need to have the full ecosystem to support this. So, for example, in this context, right, the 5 use cases for education. University, we have to be able to adopt all these new ways of working, new lifestyle, new technology. The community, I think this is not a hurdle. This new generation very fast, all right. So and then they're very digitally savvy and tuned. Government regulator, this is the important part, right? We are talking, we are engaging government services, to talk a lot about this, spectrum efficiency, digital license trade, and then there are a lot of things to talk about. So again, like for example, I think it was 2 days ago, MOSTI has already opened up what we call a data science platform, right? So it's basically an open database where anyone can actually go and consume the data. You want to know about population in Malaysia, the income level, you can go into, and then you want to know that which area has coverage or no coverage. The telco database is there also as well. All right, open science platform. And of course, network provider, we will play our role to provide the best connectivity, to provide the best coverage in terms of the width and also the depth. And also application players, this is where I think collaboration with universities is very important to develop new ideas, and incubate new use cases, right? So yeah, in the spirit of that, in Maxis, what we have done is that we have tried to also synergize this technology ecosystem with this innovation ecosystem. So we set up a platform, a program, 5G Alliance program. So what this program does is that it brings in all the brains, the expertise in one place. Okay. No walls built. We tear down all those walls and then we say, okay, let's ideate and generate. Okay, we talk about the patents later. We talk about the profitability and business case later. What we wanted to do is to ideate, to see what we can bring to the market. Okay, and this includes regulators, government agencies, technology providers, Huawei, Ericsson, also some of this academia. All right, so this is our plan, and this is a program to set up, all brains in one, because not anyone can do everything, but then I think with one place that with all this brain that comes in together, we will move things a lot faster. Yeah. So this program is launched, and now we are actually at this ideating stage. We're trying to get industry players to generate some ideas and plan forward. So I realize that I'm running out of time, so I'm just want to leave you with some key takeaways on this, right? So our perspective is that Quintuple Helix is very relevant, okay? And part of that, that we can relate and also tie into the Quintuple Helix is that, technology ecosystem must work together with innovation ecosystem, right? So we have the technology, we must consider the technology holistically, 4G, 5G, edge computing, cloud, and together with the innovation ecosystem, right? We must ensure the fundamental society blocks, or the innovation participants are all in it, right? So that we can actually go forward in this digitalization agenda. This one. And secondly is need to move fast. We need to, all of us need to adapt and adopt the technology as soon as possible and continuously optimize, right? So you can't really just use AI and then just stop at that. It will be a term that we call continuous innovation and continuous development. That's something that we have to look into. And if you talk about the focus of what are the technology that we will be putting a lot of effort in, researching, deploying, trialing, doing proof of concept, it will be on 5G multi-age, multi-access edge computing, AI, cloud computing, right? This will be the foundation we think that will bring us to the new era, okay? And finally, collaboration. We can't work in silo anymore, all right? So actually, in terms of industry, you know, we are working a lot with our rivals. So for example, we build some certain sites, right, that we allow Celcom Digi to use, or we allow you mobile to use, and they will have some sites, you know, that they will allow us to use, all right? And we also share our spectrum bands. Yeah, so that is one of the level of collaboration. But another level of collaboration that is very important is, like I said, the 5G Alliance program, where everyone comes together, no host barred, just ideate and incubate ideas, and then we see where we can go from there. Right. So with that, thank you. Sorry, my speech took a little bit longer than it should.
Thank you, Mr. Koo. I will now pass the floor to Associate Professor Dr. Khalila to facilitate the question and answer session, please.
Thank you, Dr. Fazli. Mr. Koo, you can sit down if you like. We'll start with the discussion from the topic that has been presented by Mr. Koo on optimizing sustainable digitalization and technology for education. I think the word ecosystem has been very aptly chosen because it's all about connectivity. And then with what our keynote speaker have shared this morning about having the core foundation and a balanced ecosystem, I think that just resonates very well with what Mr. Koo talks about in terms of education. And first of all, I think as university produces graduates who, you know, at the end becomes maybe one of your technicians and R&D experts in Maxis or other telco company. And then the tech experts in the industry, in a way, develop or scale up what has been researched and what has been innovated to become part of this new advancement for the society. And then in return, you know, in the cycle, then from then on, education institutions would then innovate some more, and this becomes a continuous cycle. And this is how we see our societies becomes more advanced as the years goes on. So I want to know, maybe first of all, to get the discussion kick-started, what could academic institutions such as schools and universities expect to adapt to change in the near years to come? Maybe in terms of how we learn, how we work. Maybe you can share about that.
I think the first adaptation, so to speak, you know, is the adoption of the spirit of innovation. All right. So what we are seeing is that is really lacking is that, you know, I think Prof. Aziz pointed out just now, no, a lot of this theoretical but not much of applied knowledge, right? So the spirit of innovation is something that I think should be inculcated. There should be some innovation lab, you know, that the students can try out. You know, there's nothing that, you know, that should be stopping them from ideating and testing out. They must have a platform to do so, right? And they must be allowed to fail and move on and try something new. All right, that is a spirit of innovation that we need. All right. So what we do see is a lot of engineering. I can speak on behalf of the field that I'm quite familiar in engineering students. So it is very applied theory based, okay, and this is something that we want perhaps a student to be able to go into more of the applied, applied sector, okay, to have more innovation, to have more lab experiences, and all those that will manifest into something. Maybe it works, maybe not, but then, you know, it has to be done.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Koo. Meanwhile, I also invite participants here in Senate Hall to also pose a question. So welcome to do so. And then also those who are currently online with us, you're also welcome to pose your questions in the chat box. Okay. So taking up from that, I think on innovation and education, because education is the gateway to all of things, if I may say, ideas, and then even how we instill responsibility and ethics in terms of working. Yep. Now, when we're talking about Quintuple Helix, we have covered academia, industry, civil society, the government, and then the fifth component is the environment. So I'm interested to know from your point of view how digitalization and technology can also enhance these environmental needs, and also how it can become part of the platform or the connector, not just human, but what we do to the environment?
Yeah, I think I'm going to start with like what we can enable that will help, in terms of the environment. All right. So I briefly spoke about, we leverage on AI, to lower our carbon footprint in terms of our base station, in terms of we want to build as less base station as much as possible, but still providing the great coverage to you. That's one thing. And for that, we need to leverage on a lot of technology, that within the radio propagation itself, within the, the backhauling, for example, we will don't have to run through a patch of forest to build the fiber ducting and everything. And we can use microwave, for example. Those are some of these initiatives we have taken. But really, what we wanted to also be part of is to provide connectivity, that will benefit applications that will directly impact, the environmental protection or conservation. So, they're connected. If we can have this connected forest, for example, to have this low power IoT that is sustainable, because nobody's going to go into the forest patch, and then into the forest to monitor these devices IoT every 1 or 2 days. It has to work all the time. It has to work it's foolproof, and it has to be reliable. That is something that in terms of our responsibility, we want to tap into. We want to leverage on what is available to us in terms of technology and research new technology, so that we can support some of this environmental application and initiative, right? And internally within Maxis, what we are doing is that we're trying to lower carbon footprint, like I said just now, through all this automation technology, AI. Yeah, so those are the two things that I can really think of that will have an impact right now.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I think it's quite interesting when we visited the Maxis Business Hub and saw there's actually a lot of initiatives. For example, you're using technology to build sensors for agriculture, for mangrove monitoring.
Yep.
So I think, I think we all agree that this collaboration is what is needed, because we might have expertise from not just, engineering technology, but those from environmental background, from resource management, who we can sit together and think about how technology can be an advantage actually for environmental sustainability as well.
Precisely.
Okay. So do we have any questions from the floor? Okay.
Hi, Mr. Koo. I'm Shamshul. I'm from UPM. Okay, I think I can categorize my question to two. Okay, number one, maybe this question is more of Maxis in general. When I look at your slides, in terms of education, maybe if you can give me some insight. I did not see on talking about sustainability, right? If you connect sustainability with current issue of food security, sustainability into food security, I didn't really see how does Maxis connect with that, unless that there is going to be application of sensors and whatnot for the cloud. But in your slide, I did not see that in your slide. Not sure whether or not I miss it. But do you also have that kind of initiative in assisting the government? Because looking at Quintuple Helix or Quadruple Helix and whatnot, so where do you put Maxis' contribution in terms of food security and sustainability?
Okay. In terms of food security, we will definitely have to work with the ecosystem. Okay, so we will have to work with the maybe farmers. All right, farmers, and also the and all the maybe poultry providers, how to introduce some new technology where they can actually up their yield. All right.
Do you have that technology or not?
No, we don't have that at the moment, but we are constantly looking to partner, because like I said, right, this requires an ecosystem. There must be some application or service development. Okay, that is that is a subject matter expertise. Okay.
If not mistaken, I think one of my colleagues mentioned to me that for example, like DM, right? DM has already come up with the smart farming systems, meaning that I think working with MDEC, the single provider like Redtone, Set Asia, and whatnot. So that's why I was asking whether or not do you have your division working on the smart farming system? If yes, if the answer is yes, are you interested to work with us from UPM with some of the government initiative that we are working?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Specific to the e-farming or the smart farming,
Yeah.
that I have to get back to you on that, but I don't think they are currently in it at the moment. All right. But there are some initiatives, that there's one going that we will look into this agriculture or farming, specifically also as well.
All right. Because I think it's going to be something that will be great, because I think unlike the Redtone and whatnot, you cannot, for them, they cannot try adjusting the 5G system or through the the satellite. Because very important when you use a smart farming system where you have a very good connectivity.
Yes.
When you want to run the system online, right? So that's where maybe I will contact you again after this. My second question is that when you talk about collaboration with industry, right? So you're looking at you're open to ideation and whatnot. Maybe I will contact you because we do have a lot of project which is TRL9 and whatnot that we would like to share with Maxis. So that can shows that any possibility for universities like UA to showcase and any good feedback and possible commercialization later on. Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Thanks.
More than welcome.
I will email you, Mr. Ko. Right.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much, Prof. Connections is already happening here as we speak. Yeah. Okay, I'll pass back to the MC to take us on to the next session.
Thank you, Dr. Kalila. And thank you again, Mr. Koo Yon Hing from Maxis for the insightful presentation. I will now invite Associate Professor Dr. Azami, the Director of All, to present a small token to Mr. Koo. Thank you, Dr. Azami, Dr. Kalila, and Mr. Koo. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor to introduce our esteemed speaker for the second plenary session. Our speaker for the session is an IIUM alumni yang berbahagia, Datuk Syahira Ahmad Bazari, the trustee and managing director of Yayasan Hasanah. She is someone who firmly believes in the power of collective influence and impact. As a grant-making organization, Hasanah invests in 5 key areas: education, community development, environment, arts and public spaces, and knowledge and research. Under Yang Berbahagia Datuk Syahira's leadership, Hasanah has positively impacted over 2 million lives in Malaysia since its establishment in 2015. In addition to carrying out numerous humanitarian relief initiatives, given their impressive achievement, we are eager to learn how Yayasan Hasanah has managed to achieve self-sustainability. Without further delay, let's welcome Yang Berbahagia Datuk Syahira of Yayasan Hasanah as she shares her insight on the topic of innovating self-sustaining institution.
We'll begin with some videos.
Sumber pendapatan tunai para wanita adalah dengan menjual hasil tani mereka di dalam kampung atau di tamu atau pasar tani, dan hasil yang diperolehi atau pendapatan yang diperolehi adalah tidak menentu. Projek 2 tahun ini bermula pada tahun 2019 di mana pilot project dimulakan oleh 11 orang wanita. Kemudian dalam bulan Mac tahun 2020 barulah projek sepenuhnya dilaksanakan semasa pandemik COVID-19. Community based entrepreneurship ini dirancang untuk dua tujuan utama, yaitu yang pertama untuk menambah hasil pendapatan para petani wanita yang majoritinya adalah penanam halia, dan tujuan yang kedua adalah untuk sustain women support group ongoing advocacy for children safety and protection.
Dengan melaksanakan projek penjanaan pendapatan melalui perusahaan berasaskan halia, yang mana sekurang-kurangnya RM170,000 telah dijana sejak tahun 2020 oleh 71 usahawan wanita melalui penghasilan 12 jenis produk berasaskan halia.
Selepas daripada saya mengikuti ini program, saya sudah berjumpa dengan ramai orang, ramai kenalan, dan dari situ timbulnya keyakinan diri lah. Tapi kita sebagai istri berbangga lah, kita masih ada pendapatan untuk membantu kita punya keluarga.
Yayasan Hasanah telah menjadi partner yang strategik dalam menjalankan projek yang memberi kesan dan menyebabkan berlakunya perubahan kepada wanita di komuniti luar bandar ini. So, kami sangat menghargai semangat kekitaan dan kebersamaan dan kerjasama yang telah terjalin sepanjang pelaksanaan projek ini. Sepanjang pengalaman kebersamaan ini telah memberikan kedua belah pihak pengalaman yang berharga dengan melihat cabaran sebagai sesuatu pengalaman yang positif.
So the Malayan tiger is critically endangered in Malaysia now, with less than 150 left in the wild. So if we don't do anything, the Malayan tiger will go extinct.
Pagi kita akan jadi rondaan. Jadi harap selamat masuk dan selamat pulang.
If they have those three items, food, habitat and protection, they will and can come back. And that's already been proven in countries like India and Nepal, where tiger numbers have doubled even. RIMA was determined to help solve the problem. And for us, the most important thing that tigers needed was protection from poachers in the rainforest. In terms of impact, it will take a while before we see if tiger numbers bounce back. But we are already seeing changes here in Royal Belum. For example, the number of snares that have been found in the rainforest here has probably dropped by 90 to 95% already. And snares, of course, is the biggest threat to tigers.
Jalan.
Nama saya Talib. Tempat tinggal saya Kampung Sungai Kija. Tugas
untuk kita masuk dalam hutan. Sebelum masuk, kita bagi anggota keadaan semua baik. Sebelum kita ronda, kita cek barang. Ada bateri GPS, kamera, memori ke penuh ke atau kurang. Macam tu kita cek. Tapi sekarang ni perubahan saya tengok semakin sikit naik. Ada saya bantu warga. Pendapatan sekarang ni dah bolehlah banyak.
Yayasan Hasanah has been a great partner for Rimau. We started off with 16 patrollers here in Royal Belum, but today we have 46 patrollers in 3 landscapes, Royal Belum, Amanjaya, and also in Kolbu, creating a huge landscape for tigers.
As it is one of the priority landscape for Yayasan Hasanah in demonstrating sustainable development, we are looking to connect the forest landscapes, and by supporting such a project allows us to demonstrate with evidence that the work that we're carrying out is supporting the species conservation on the ground.
So protecting the Harimau Malaya is absolutely critical and is a responsibility of all Malaysians to make sure that it continues to exist in our rainforests.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Mr. Koo, Head of Network and Partnerships, and Associate Professor Dr. Khairul Azami Siddiq, Director of Office and Industrial Links, Senior Management of IIUM, UMC members, Deans, Directors, participants, students, brothers and sisters. A very good morning to all of you. And thank you for watching the 2 videos. We can never tell our impact in slides and numbers. I think you may need to see for yourself what are some of the things that's happening on the ground. I'm very honored to be here today to talk about innovating a self-sustaining institution, which is a practitioner's perspective within the theme of empowering sustainable quintuple helix ecosystem. So as mentioned, I am an alumni of IIUM, and I'm always very happy and try to make the time to attend and contribute back to the university in any way I can, inshallah. And the 3 videos you just saw is a glimpse of our work and our impacts on the ground, representing our environment and community development pillar. I also wanted to, Prof. Aziz is not here, but he has given a very good context setting within the Maqasid Al-Shariah framework. And I hope my sharing will enable us to have conversations around how we can further improve in ensuring those items Prof showed below the iceberg, deep in the waters, can be brought out more intentionally in the work that we do every day. So let me first start by introducing a little bit about Yayasan Hasanah. We were established in 2015 as the foundation of Khazanah National, building on 9 years of Khazanah's corporate responsibility. As a convener, collaborator, and catalyst for change, Hasanah connects the dots, advocate for collaboration, and a shift from the for-profit competitive mindset to a more collaborative mindset where we engage, we break down silos, and amplify our collective impacts. So a lot of these definitions in action actually is coming out from the principles of Maqasid Al-Shariah as well as the Quintuple Helix framework. So the foundation has been built around the leadership, expertise, experience, and knowledge of our board of trustees. And I'm very happy to also share that Tan Sri Professor Zul, your rector, was our founding trustee. He had to step down because I think you all kept him really busy. So you didn't really have the time to continue to serve on the board, but we were very honored to have him in the first 6 years of our journey. And our 50 strong team members that is supporting this organization. So just very quickly, Hasanah was formed to distribute value created by Khazanah, treasury, right? Khazanah has the same meaning in very many languages, and its shareholders. And our two principles objectives around value distribution and value creation. So Khazanah creates value, and Yayasan Hasanah is meant to do the social giving. We are funded by an endowment, a 3 billion ringgit endowment from Khazanah, where we are committed to bring meaningful long-term social change. Part of the work that we do go beyond dollars and cents. We facilitate an ecosystem of transformation, working in collaboration with multiple stakeholders to infuse the spirit of advocacy and building capacity in 5 key areas, which is education, community development, environment, arts, and public spaces. The logos you see down there are just selected, not non-exhaustive. Okay, so just very quickly on institutional frameworks, which is also very important in delivering the work that we do. We are centered around clear strategic priorities, rigorous grant management and impact monitoring process, stringent financing and audit processes, continuously investing and building high trust capital across stakeholders. Because if you talk about collaboration, you need to first build your trust capital, and ability to influence a stronger collaboration and having a robust governance mechanism. So all of this kind of supports each other to be able to do our work. Our vision and priorities are based on a theory of change model, which is represented in this house chart, where our 5 pillars have clear 5-year plan, 5-year output, outcome, and impact targets and aspirations. So just to quickly go through it, under education, we have 2 main programs, which are scholarships and school leadership program, where we invest in capacity development and mental health provisions for education for students in secondary and primary schools. So we do mental health awareness and well-being programs in schools. For community development, we have livelihood and leadership programs. You saw some of it. As you can see, it's quite multidimensional. It's not just skills and income, but we actually look at the overall well-being of an individual, because, you know, poverty is not one-dimensional. And environment, we are looking at responsible plastic use, but since 2020, we have decided to focus all of our resources in demonstrating a sustainable development model in a state. Because as you know, a lot of our natural environmental assets are with states, land, forests, marine and freshwater ecosystems are actually protected in the states. So how can we help our states think about alternative revenue models for them without relying on their natural extractive sort of economic model? So, you know, which is great because now with ESG and sustainability, we're looking at carbon financing and all of that. So we are putting all of our resources to demonstrate Perak as a sustainable economic model for other states to replicate. And as you know, these climate issues are moving very fast. So inshallah, with the collective brain. So this is another example of a model of quintuple ecosystem, right? Because we need academia, we need public-private sector, we need civil society, we need the financial, the private financial ecosystem to think about how we can move away from an extractive old economic model to a new economic model of revenue for the state. And then in the arts and public spaces, we continue to support practitioners so that the sector becomes economically viable. So all of our artists don't need to have 2 jobs and do their arts as a hobby because they need another job to pay the bills. So to actually activate programs in the arts so that, our practitioners will have an economically viable profession, and also textile conservation. So these are basically some of the work that we do. Okay, so just very quickly earlier, I didn't show the 3rd video that we had. I think we had some bandwidth problems. So cool, maybe first project in the university. so we can improve our bandwidth. But we've just launched our Hasana Report 2022, which is online, THR 2022.online. And the theme is on igniting possibilities or semarak potensi kita, which is about the importance of investing in the capacity and capability of individuals to empower them and igniting their hidden talents and potential. And so I was really very heartened to see SDG 18, which I think maybe we should promote a little bit more, because as a practitioner, also a lot of the challenges we see is in the quality of leadership lah. Actually, all of us in our own capacity are leaders, and quite a lot of our challenge is about the quality of leadership and courage and all of that you saw in that SDG 18. So very spot on in terms of to make the first 17 SDGs work, you actually need the willpower, determination, courage of individuals and leaders. So we saw that also in a lot of our programs when we work with individuals and empower them, you see a lot of success. The next few slides, I will probably, so these are some of the stats. Last year, we managed 222 million ringgit, where we reached 195,000 people. Collectively, we have impacted about 2.4 million people since inception. We funded 132 new projects and worked with about 111 civil society partner organizations. So as a grant maker, we work with social enterprises, university. Actually, we've got quite a lot of grants with IIUM as well and other universities and civil society organizations. So in the education space, we assisted about 10% of public schools in Malaysia, which is about 1,000 schools, where we train school leaders. So investing a lot really in capacity, capability, training, helping practitioners the value of, continuous learning, right? It is about continuous learning and improvements. So we have worked with teachers, and we also awarded 121 scholarships in schools, primary, secondary, and tertiary, and professional. So we have fellowships where we support professionals on short courses, and so on and so forth. So it's the whole sort of, you call cradle to grave kind of continuous learning spectrum. Next, in community development, our programs supported more than 6,500 people for mental health. This we saw in schools and in communities, and trained 3,700 plus people on livelihood, where about 1,100 saw an increase in their income. You saw one of the videos earlier, and developed community leaders. So we always say that what happens when the NGO leaves the community? How do we make sure that the program is sustainable and that the communities can actually continue to lead? And that's why our exit plan is always about leadership. So, and we are there in a community anywhere between 1 to 5 years, depending on the size of the community and whether there are enough leaders to actually carry on and self-organize their community and empower their own communities. So in our community development work, we really continue to develop community leaders. In environment pillar, we have multiple projects in Perak, and we have 8 priority projects in Perak, and we are continuing to do that in schools, with civil society, and also in the reduction and upcycling and what you call trash to cash programs with waste. Next, in our arts and public spaces, Arts for All Season or Arts Fest, which we hope we can also bring to UIA, has grown to become the single largest annual grant program for the arts, heritage and culture. And in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance, last year alone, we funded 107 shows and live performances, where we were able to support the livelihoods of 3,332 local artists and performers. So on partnership and collaboration, again, this is the fundamental, the core of the Quintuple Helix philosophy. I wanted to also share our work in a collaboration. So Yayasan Hasanah is a big proponent of partnership and collaboration and have been the voice of collective impact and collaboration. So we are also the secretariat for the JLC Demi Rakyat dan Negara, or GDRN, which is basically coordinating the CSR efforts of all our JLCs. So if you know, during any humanitarian crisis, companies, respond immediately, but there are a lot of overlaps and redundancies in the support. So GDRN actually works with all JLCs. We have about 32, I think, companies now under GDRN, where we coordinate our efforts. So we were able to do that really well during the pandemic. Actually, prior to the pandemic, we used to respond for humanitarian crisis like banjir, tanah runtuh dan sebagainya. Usually JLCs are there quite fast and supporting NGOs to get to the ground. So, but during the pandemic, I think was where GDRN got a large recognition, because we coordinated the support of JLCs to the public hospitals in terms of PPEs, ventilators in the early days, and then later the vaccination program, so that all the support is well coordinated. Okay, so I just wanted to move on to talk about the word innovating self-sustaining institution. I think there are two things that I've actually put together, which may look quite loaded. I'm looking at my time. I have 9 minutes left. So I just want to share very quickly. First, I want to talk about 10 lessons as I reflect on the 8 years that Yayasan Hasanah has been in operations. And I hope this will be relevant for you as academia, as students, but also as individuals who are aspiring to look at, in the future, leading social impact organizations. Yeah? So the first lesson that I wanted to say is financing model. So without dollars and cents, of course, nothing can be achieved. And to enlighten you all this evening, to enlighten you in terms of how, so Khazanah, I think I am very heartened by the wisdom of the Khazanah board, that when they decided to set up Yayasan Hasanah, they felt that the most efficient way of setting up a foundation is through an endowment, so that the teams do not having to spend a lot of time fundraising. We work with a lot of NGOs where sometimes almost 80% of their time is fundraising. Not enough time to actually do the work that they're really good at. So I think if you think about setting up something, do think first, early on, how do you want to be sustainable in terms of your fundraising? And it doesn't have to be solved in the early stage, but if you have a vision of growing maybe an endowment fund, then you can develop your programs following that financing trajectory. The most demotivating thing to do oftentimes in doing good is first finding the money to do it. Just spend a lot of time doing that. So a sustainable financing model is worth thinking about, and it's worth pushing for when you speak to your leaders in making them understand how this should be. So it takes time, because as you do, people in leadership position will understand the importance of it and then give the investment accordingly. So the second thing that I wanted to talk about is, many people come and ask us, hey, what is the tax status that we should have usually for the foundation? A lot of people aim to become a 44/6 status tax status foundation, because it's, yes, hardest to get and easier to raise funds, because the donors actually get tax exempted. But there are also a lot of restrictions with the 44/6. So the lesson that we have learned is also understanding what kind of organization you are, and therefore what is the most effective tax status that you need, so that it doesn't limit you on the work that you do. So for example, for Yayasan Hasanah, because we don't raise funds, we don't need a 44/6, for example, right? Because the only person that gives us money is Khazanah. So only Khazanah needs to have a tax exemption for the income that they put into Hasana. So you need to understand the back-end model, and so that your tax status is not counterproductive to the kind of work that you need to do. So you all have to go study the various tax sections and acts that are available. The next thing is people and organization. I think it's very important that the development and social sector actually requires high quality talent. So it is quite unfortunate that people think that people who works in the social sector either shouldn't get paid, should volunteer, don't deserve to get paid well enough, or and you know, but you know, I was in the corporate line for like 20 odd years, 22 years before I entered the social sector, which I have to relearn, unlearn, rewire a lot when I entered the social sector. And it's actually so much more complex and so very complex work compared to the for-profit area. For-profit, very easy lah, P&L, bottom line, you know, you meet your targets, it's annual, you know, whereas in social sector, it's long-term, it's about lives, you have to deal with weather, you have to deal with, you know, difficult circumstances, and yet your stakeholder demand high impact. So they're always asking you, what's the impact of this program, you know? And, you know, like sometimes kita ada KPI, 100 participants attend the program. Lepas tu, 80 saja attend. Oh, people don't, when you go down to the ground, you know how difficult it is at first to even get that 100 people. And to get that 100 people to attend 5 workshops, full attendance, it's challenging, right? So, and there are many other challenges. Of course, that's just a very simple example of how complex this is. So we have been advocating, professionalizing the social sector. And I think with the rise of ESG, sustainability, you know, survivability of companies with climate change and all of that, quite a lot of the social developmental side and businesses are converging today. And actually the businesses and practitioners of sustainability and ESG should reach out to people in the development sector to better define your ESG and sustainability parameters. You know, because when you get corporate people defining it, and I'm coming from both lands, having had that experience, there is a lot of value in learning from the social and development sector. So I think people and organization is very important. In Hasana, for example, we have a mix of team members that represent the private sector, public sector, as well as individuals who have actually worked in NGOs and grassroots. So, you know, it's a good balance of corporate policy and grassroots. Marrying them all together actually created a very dynamic organization. So you can't have, if you only have grassroots people, it's a very different pace and governance and rigor. If you only have public sector, or if you only have private sector, it's also, you know, rewiring the capitalistic, the competitive, very different behavior and mindset. So I think the mix for people and organization in social organization is very important. The fourth lesson is the sector. People always see this sector as charitable. You know, charity, if I have extra, I go give, you know. But actually the sector is not charitable, it's developmental. And it is anchored on justice and rights-based framework. If we get that right, our behaviors in giving also changes. You know, we don't go down there and pat ourselves in the back because we just helped 100 or 50 women. You know, we go down there and feel horrible that these 50 women actually are suffering the way that they are, meaning as a society, we have failed to take care. And if you look at the Maqasid Sharia, the protection of life and protection of families and protection of wealth, it is quite depressing when you go down there. So it alters your behavior. You are not doing them a favor. You know, you're actually doing your right as an individual in society to help these people that we let down actually in the first place. So during the pandemic, it was actually very, very sad to see a number of people who actually couldn't even put food on the table when they didn't go to work for a month, or or a week. They didn't go to work for 1 week. They cannot feed their family. So this is the vulnerability and lack of social protection systems that we need to look into. The fifth lesson, mission and vision. I think we've spoken about that. We need to, I know a lot of corporations, their vision and mission is linked to their business, which is not wrong, but I think it needs to be balanced in terms of national development and truly helping individuals. The sixth lesson is around structures and governance is extremely important to achieve your quintuple helix. Always quintuple helix. Governance is important. You have no governance, you cannot partner with, there's academia, all of this is a partnership, right? So you need to build your trust capital to enable the quintuple helix ecosystem. Seventh lesson is storytelling and communicating impact. Very difficult to figure this out. In fact, we're still figuring it out. You'll see us doing it in social media. We do videos. Of course, we've got a very systematic way of measuring our ROI, which very few individuals like the board and people who are quantitative are interested. But this sector is actually both quantitative and qualitative. And how do you tell this story matters, because it is also about communicating your impact and towards policy. Eighth lesson is partnership and collaboration. I think we all know the importance of that. The ninth lesson is scope creep is the other thing. When you're doing good, you want to do everything. When people come to you say, boleh tolong buat ni tak? Boleh. Boleh tolong buat ni tak? Boleh. Boleh tak? Tolong kan? Semua you nak tolong kan? Because memang semua orang memerlukan pertolongan tu kan? So how do you stay focused? Scope creep is inevitable when you are doing good. So how do we stay focused and make sure that you're not boiling the ocean? You can only do so much. And for us, we always say that, people always say, daripada public school transformation, macam-macam lah, healthcare, big stuff, right? Private sector is not meant to do public sector work, right? Government's role and private sector. So private sector, we are catalyst. We demonstrate models. Academia also the same. We are catalysts. We show how it can be done, right? And by doing, we learn. So I think catalyst for change. And then finally, the final lesson is this is a continuous learning and improvement. We stand on the shoulders of those before us, we always say, and we're always learning. For the last, God knows how many thousand years, we have not eradicated poverty, right? But we have made improvements in poverty eradication, and hopefully that's how we go ahead. So those are just 10 lessons that I wanted to share, and I wanted to also end by saying that this is a practitioner's perspective. I'm going towards the end. And if you realize the Quintuple Helix model recognizes the role of not only academia, industry, government, but also civil society. And I hope that I've shown you this helix in action. And we are a great believer of this, but getting this what you call this framework in action requires a lot of you have to be open-minded, you have to build the trust capital, the social capital to make it happen. So on my final thoughts, I just wanted to say that all of us here in the development and higher education sectors, I believe, must carry on being the force for good. I think we are all seated here, what you call change makers and force for good. And Hasanah itself, the meaning of Hasanah is about doing good. And we hope that by today's sharing and having this deliberation and discourse, we could continue to bring a lot of the aspirations we have to reality. I just wanted to say there's a point in my speech, I'm 5 minutes over, on the subject of courageous leadership. Actually, I've skipped that. I can share with you the speech and the slide. Courageous leadership, care, compassion, and what we call kalb, right? The heart, kalbun salim, I think they call it, the heart. So at the end of the day, everything that while you can talk whatever you want, any models that you get in theory, the real success is in the heart and your intentions in terms of what we are trying to do. So it's an ongoing journey. We have to consistently remind ourselves why we are here, what we're trying to do, and what's the legacy that we want to leave behind as the Khalifah. As our existence here is very temporary. So we need to always remember that and take responsibility in terms of our sort of relations. That's why every time I come to UIA, I'm very happy because it's always reminding you about your role as a Khalifah on this earth. So thank you very much for that. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dato' Yang Berbahagia Datuk Shahira, for your valuable insights. Now I'll pass the floor to Associate Professor Dr. Khalila, please.
Thank you, Datuk Shahira, for sharing with us examples of Yayasan Hasanah's initiatives on how YH has reached out to communities and not only the society, but also directly working with the environment, such as the various initiatives that you have shared. Maybe before I start with my question as the moderator, I would like to open to the floor. If any of you have any questions. Okay, maybe not yet. So while they're drafting questions of curiosity to ask you more, I wanted to ask you about, to operate or implement this Quintuple Helix ecosystem takes a lot of work, partnerships, collaborations, and understanding of each other's role. What academia does, private institutions or industry, government, civil society, and also our impact to the environment. So maybe if you could share from your experience in Yayasan Hasanah and the projects that Yayasan Hasanah has done, how do you see the niche contributing roles of, for example, academia, NGO, institution, but maybe, most of us are from universities, and we'd like to know what part can each of these roles bring in if they come from university, if they come from NGO, and so forth.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. So academia is actually a very integral part of the work that we're doing. And we have had various actually partnerships with academia in many of the projects that we have been working on. UIA also, I think we've done quite a lot on community, looking at the locations that you're in, bringing in innovation on whether it's agriculture or financial literacy programs, mental health programs, because you have your specific expertise and you are closer to the community. So I'll give you one example that we did in Perlis recently, which is we partnered with UNIMAP, and it is to address the learning loss after the pandemic. So we actually supported about close to 3,000 students in all primary schools in Perlis. There are about 70 plus primary schools in Perlis. So the teachers identified the students. As you know, this standard 1 kids, when they came back to school, they became standard 3, right? They didn't go to school standard 1, standard 2, and then there were a lot of the basic reading, arithmetics, and writing. So that partnership was really amazing. We had a civil society organization that partnered with the school and bring the methodology of digital learning, actually not just digital, because children nowadays, they like tablets, and so to motivate them to come to school. So our partner organization who does STEM education brought the tools, partnered with UNIMAP, who brought in the students as a teaching mentor, as a TA, to improve the student reading, writing, and arithmetic. It was a very successful program because we saw all students saw 1 or 2 increase, peningkatan tahap lah. So kalau di tahap 2, dia akan jadi tahap 4 dalam baca, mengira, dan menulis. So that was a very good example of how we work with university. We have various such programs in Sabah. For example, we work with University Malaysia Sabah UMS in a livelihood program doing this gula apung and gula apung. Yeah. So one village, one industry, one village. So actually the UMS teachers and lecturers came to develop the stove. This is the innovation, the engineers, I suppose, came and built, because it's very difficult for them to do it manually. So there was an innovation around how the cooking of the gula apung needs to happen. And then we had another faculty that came in and did the marketing, packaging, and also innovation. So like, for example, if 1 kilo costs certain amount of ringgit, they wanted to maximize the income to the community. So the university came in to figure that out and actually had products where 1 kilo, they can get maybe 100 bottles instead of selling to a restaurant 1 kilo, how much the income. So that was a great innovation, because the community became so motivated to go and dapatkan gula tu lah daripada, so many such collaboration. The final thing I want to say is that and that's why I think industrial links are so important, because research sahaja is not enough, right? So how do you bring your research to life? Yes, you have to. Bringing your research to life is through partnerships. And that's where I see the research coming to life. Because sometimes we also commission research with university. We just get a report, then finish, Yeah. So what do we do with this report? We shelf, yeah. So thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you, Dato'. Any questions from the audience? Okay, not yet. Okay. So I think it's quite interesting that in the first presentation from Maxis, we talk about this like high-end advanced technology. And then at the same time, when Yasin Hassan Dato' shared about, we still have our, as you say, our right to help fulfill the basic that the society needs. So it goes back to this balanced ecosystem, meaning that however advanced we get, we cannot forget even the basic needs, like, how you have shown, teaching the communities or helping them to advance their halia, jualan halia, and then the poachers, not the poachers, the patrollers, to guard the tiger from being poached. That gives them a job opportunity. So this constant reminder of the need to balance both sides of advancement and fulfilling basic needs. So I think that is a key lesson that even I think from the second talk that we get until now. And then at the center of that is how you mentioned is the cult, which goes back to what Prof has mentioned, having the SDG 18 spirituality or the core foundation of the person. Because at the end of the day, within this ecosystem, it is us. It's not any other beings or artificial intelligence. It goes back to the human. Okay, so Dato', my next question is, you shared about, I think, funding or finance being, a core need in getting any initiatives done. Maybe can you share what are some strategies or approaches that institutions can adopt to diversify revenue streams and maybe reduce our dependency on traditional funding sources? If you have any ideas to share. Thank you, Dato'.
Sorry, this is where we can make collaboration in action, because we always feel that one organization can never achieve anything alone now. So even for us, where we have sustainability in our funding, we still collaborate with other entities. So even Hasana, we also receive external funding because we already got our governance structures in place. So the governance allow us to manage much more because it's transparent and all of that. So I would say first, you need to make sure that you are an organization that have got high transparency, good governance practices, and obviously good people within your organization, right? And the results of the work. So that in itself attracts funding and money, because ideas everybody ada idea and everybody wants to do good. Semua orang nak turun, tolong sini, tolong sana and all of that. But when you go and you want to increase the funding options, people want to know, right? You as a donor, you also want to know, how is my money being spent? Does my money go directly to the intended beneficiaries? So I would say first, make sure that you have a very transparent governance structure, which will enable you to manage a lot more money. Now, in terms of different ideas, I was just thinking, for example, I sit in a few NGO boards, and there are a couple of things. I think what the Malaysia ecosystem, we're not doing enough is tapping into global and international funding. Actually, there's many global international funding that we're not tapping into, particularly climate funds, small size. I'm not talking big, you can access. So if you have somebody who can research, but for you to access that money, it goes back to your organization. Your organization needs to be transparent, must have audited financial statement or very good bookkeeping, at least because if you're not Ascendant Berhad or a big firm, your bookkeeping must be good and all of that. So very transparent system. So international funding, a lot we can access. We're not accessing enough. We don't have the confidence even to apply. Sebelum apply dah kata sure tak dapat. Jangan macam tu lah. Apply lah dulu, cuba. Because cuba mesti dapat kan. Then number two, I think collective. So one of the things that we have been trying to tell different, macam let's say 5 education NGO, go speak to one donor to set up the endowment, because sometimes you nak dapatkan endowment directly susah. So if you have a good idea of how much your OPEX will cost for the whole year, you can already identify the total amount of money you need to raise. So let's say if you need 3 million ringgit as an endowment, and you only operate from the return of that 3 million ringgit. So your OPEX dah covered, because then your program lebih senang mendapat bantuan untuk program daripada untuk your own organization, right? So I think collectively you can also think about a fund with like-minded organizations that can then support various organizations. So there are many things. And then third thing now, because of technology, it's amazing. The crowdfunding platforms are just so amazing. If you know how to promote and tell a story, dia kena pandai story lah kan. Bila dah story tu, you know, people just say, oh, I need to bring my sick father back from somewhere. Yeah. I have no money to do. 100,000 in just berapa minit aja, crowdfunding, right? So I think crowdfunding mechanism also we are not using well enough, and that's how you build your credibility, and so on and so forth.
Okay, thank you, Dato'. I think it goes back to how you mentioned build trust capital. So I think that's another word that we can leverage on to when we look into expanding collaboration for this Quintuple Helix. So I think that can wrap up for Dato' Shahira's session. I pass back to the MC.
Thank you, Dr. Kiala. We express our heartfelt appreciation to Yang Berbahagia Datuk Shahira. I would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Azami to present a small token of appreciation to Yang Berbahagia Datuk Shahira of Yayasan Hasanah. Thank you. We have now reached the third plenary session. Dr. Khairul Azami is the Director of the Office of Industrial Links, or OIL, IIUM, and Associate Professor at the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering, Kuliah of Engineering, IIUM. He has had extensive collaboration and networking with various industry partners. The Office of Industrial Links is a liaison office between IUM staff and students, the industry and the community. Not only does OIL have ambitious objective, but it also prioritizes impactful and sustainable engagement that benefits their university, staff and students, industry and the community. These are areas that we're eager to learn more about. Without further ado, please join me in extending a warm welcome to Associate Professor Dr. Khairul Azami.
A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dan salam sejahtera. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Qala subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amma ba'd. Honorable Yang Berbahagia Datuk Syahira Ahmad Bazari, the Managing Director of Yayasan Hasanah, Honorable Mr. Ku Yuan Hing, Head of Network Partnership and Strategy Maxis Berhad, Mr. Azrul from AKEPT, Mr. Eddie from BKIM. I think I have a few of my colleagues here, Prof. Samsul from UPM, Farid, I think from Holdings, and all my colleagues here, senior management of IIUM, deans, directors, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the session here, seminar for today. And it's an honor for me to actually wrap up. Of course, Dr. Khalila will wrap up everything. But for us in the university, we would actually want to share our initiatives. I would call it initiatives from our side, not as huge as Yayasan Hasanah, which has touched 2 million hearts. Kan? Qalbun Salim is very important, Datuk. Kan? Qalbun Salim is a term where we call it that we have a good heart. Kan? Hasanah is also kebaikan, a good heart, so that we can touch the soft spot of a human. Kan? And Qalbun Salim, if it's in Islam, it directs us to our Creator, Allah. Kan? So whatever we do, kan, whatever we perform, initiatives, activities, programs, it leads us back to the Creator. That's where there's a concept where we have two types of relationship, which is vertical relationship towards our Creator, Hablum Minallah, and then the horizontal relationship, which is Hablum Minan Nas. So if we have both of these two relationships together, I think we are in the right path. So that's what we actually were trying to express. Kan? Let's say like Prof. Aziz, he was not focusing on the Islamic word like Sharia, but he was trying to actually explain it in a more general term, where we actually practice it. Kan? Maqasid Sharia, SDG, and I believe we had this discussion of SDG in 18 for the past 2 years, and I think you know about this, but we're trying to penetrate it in the society, which is quite challenging, kan? Where it leads, of course, to the qalb, kan? Qalbu. Like Prof. Aziz showed us the iceberg. The bottom one is the most important part, which we are trying to portray lah. Even I think Maxis is also important in terms of technology as the tool. Kan? Technology is always the tool. It's the means, never the ends. Kan? Because it changes, it's dynamic. So how we could use technology, you know, in a beneficial form. Kan? It's like a knife lah. A knife, you can use it to do something to people. Kan? And then a knife also you can use for good. Kan? You can you know, use in the kitchen and so on and so forth to give people food. Kan? And so on and so forth. So I won't take much time. Of course, it's 12:30. We need to break for lunch. Can I'll just use 15 minutes or less to actually try to suit the title here, which we empower a sustainable quintuple helix ecosystem in the university. Quintuple, sometimes the fifth element could be civil society, and sometimes it could be environment. So it is based on your context, of course. Sometimes maybe for Yayasan Hasanah, it would be civil society, and sometimes it could go for environment and so on and so forth, right? And for Maxis as well. So we would just show our effort, our initiatives in the university, which is a small contribution, okay, towards this quintuple helix ecosystem. All right. So the initiatives that we are next. All right. So these are among the initiatives. It's not exhaustive, and we actually have in our university, IIUM, which is one of it is U4S, University for Society. This is a ministry level initiative, KTP RIGS, SDG, USRA in Action, ARG, Action Research Grant, Industry Mentor, Jamalulail Knowledge Empowerment Program, IIUM Flagship, MOU, MOA. So we'll go in brief in each and every one of it. Oh, okay. Saya kena pegang sendiri. Okay. Betul. Okay. So U4S, I think most of you here knows about this because U4S is much more from the ministry side. I think it came from I went to the first meeting by the former education minister, Dr. Mazli Malik. He was the one who initiated this U4S, and of course, when the government changed, it transformed to another name, kan. Lastly, it became University for Society, whatever it is, kan. But it's still the same concept. So it actually wanted to, connect the university, industry, and community to ensure a sustainable relationship, which has direct impact to the society in form of changes in knowledge, attitude, skills, and aspiration. So for UIA, of course, I think all of the universities, they obtained this grant. For UIA, we've obtained 2 projects, which is the urban farming project led by Professor Technologist Dr. Azura Amit, with the title Integrated and Sustainable Agriculture Farming at the PPR Gombak Setia, as well as the second project is for youth creativity by Associate Professor Dr. Khalila Zakaria. So she actually went with the title Pemekasaan Kreativiti di Kalangan Golongan Belia PPR Gombak Setia, Kuala Lumpur. So we were told by the ministry to actually focus on one area. So we went for PPR Gombak Setia because it's nearby. And of course, that time they had this wilayah, like a region where they gathered 3 universities in one region. So we were with University Malaya, and also UITM. So UITM was focusing on entrepreneurship, and were focusing on mental health. So we were focusing on urban farming and youth creativity. So I'll show you next. Oh, saya lah lupa lah. Saya lupa. Saya kena minta maaf, Aiman. Okay. So this urban farming, we actually gathered all the pensioners yang retired, yang pension at the PPR Gombak Setia. If you know PPR Gombak Setia, it's just behind LRT Taman Melati. There's a tall building, 2 tall buildings, very colorful, one white, blue, red color building. So that's PPR Gombak Setia, the highest one there. So I think they have more than 1,000 people there. All right. With 2 flats, 41 and flat 41, flat 43, block 41, block 43. So this is what Professor Azura was initiating. So these pensioners, all these aged people, they were gathered together by Encik Rosli, I think the guy with the white green shirt there, So they were farming. They did urban farming. So they had plot of lands which was unused. Okay, so we actually came as the facilitator for them. Our team, it's not only Prof Azura though. There were a lot of instructors, Prof Azura, Prof Aizul. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people involved. She has a team. So we actually taught them how to share with them the knowledge on urban farming. Alhamdulillah, I think we don't have the picture of the cucumbers. The output memang suka lah, one basket full, seronok dia, gembira tau dapat semua tu. All the outputs, the produce from out of this. So here I think in the middle here, kat tengah ni, there's someone holding I think it's not a shovel. So we actually partnered with University Malaya, where we created the rain harvester to sustain the plants, the vegetables. So it was put up, on top of that building there in the middle, the guy with the blue shirt there. So University Malaya was really generous enough to give us the fund, share their fund, to make the rain harvester, and I think it's there until now. So we shared with them a lot of modules, with the you know, with the people there. That's urban farming lah. They were very eager. Every time they would ask us in the WhatsApp group, Prof, bila nak buat lagi ni? Bila nak buat lagi ni? Kita ni tak sabar-sabar, dia kata. So I think they really liked it, kan, because it actually gathered them together. For Dr. Khalila, nak terangkan ke saya kata terangkan? Saya. So this is her project. Actually, the space you see there, we call it ruang sejahtera. Kan? Boleh tak? Tak boleh ya? Laser is not here. Okay, tak apa. Dia putih kan tak nampak. Okay, so it's okay. So it's called ruang sejahtera. This ruang sejahtera, it was a so-called abandoned place by JKM, Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat. It was very a messy place, so we actually put it into a, you know, accommodative place, accommodative kan, which we could do some activity. So those painting there, kan, those mural were made by the locals there, which was assisted by us. I think Dr. Fazli was also there. Dr. Hanis was also there. They are from the College of Architecture. They're good painters. They're good lecturers. They're good, you know, facilitators for this. So we actually made that painting, kan, the mural. So it's called Sejahtera, Ruang Sejahtera. Number one. Number two, we also had a lot of activities, science activities, science technology activities, STEM activities, entrepreneurship activities. So we actually were thinking of, kan, Dr. Khalila, we were thinking of making a one-stop center, kan, one-stop center for these local residents to actually do a lot of things. So we actually provided the skills, kan, from our universities. We partnered with Takaful, we partnered with Sunway, we partnered with NGOs like Adab Youth Garage. So they came in, everyone came in to actually participate in a lot of activities. So this was Ruang Sejahtera, and we actually have passed it on to the Club Belia PPR Gombak Setia to, you know, to continue the activities. I think we do have an upcoming activities, STEM activities, I think in June as well for these people. So we make it a lively place for people to gather and spark ideas. Kan? So you can see that those are residents, local residents, participating in a lot of activities. I think bags there as well. All right. Next. We also have another initiative, as we said, small initiative, kan, KTP RIGS STG. It's something that we go for, we based on the Quintuple Helix model. Kan? We participate, we actually engage academia, industry, community and government to work together. So this is an internal grant which was established in 2018. Until now, we have 60 secured project awarded to the IIUM lecturers and under this initiative. So I could show you some, not all. So for example, in 2018, where we started the grant, there was one project in Segari, Perak, where we empowered the fishermen community through participation in mangrove conservation and reforestation initiative. So for KTP RIGS, we call it KTP Knowledge Transfer Program, Research Initiative Grant Scheme, RIGS. It's for 1 year, and they actually have to give an impact to the community. So normally we impart knowledge, normally we train the locals, we train the society. So for this context, we actually collaborated with Persatuan Aktivis Sahabat Alam, Kuasa, right? So that was in 2018. There was more than this. This is one example of a project. 2019, Fist Culture for Sustainable Livelihood of Women, Orphans and the Needy with Rumah Kebajikan Anak-anak Yatim dan Fakir Miskin, Perempuan Permata Al-Insyiria. So we had a lot of training, a lot of awareness, site visits, so that we actually could do the project. So that was in 2019 in Kuantan, Pahang. 2020, there was more, of course. 2020, we're just taking one example, empowering disabled community towards modern agriculture in Kampung Tiram, Kuantan, with PAWE, Persatuan Warga Emas, Pertubuhan Pemulihan dalam Komuniti PDK, kan, as well. So we had 3 communities. We impart the knowledge, and participants intended to actually start business. So to that 2021, this is also Kampung Tiram. We also had 2 copyrights for this project, and those are the products of the the initiative. We also had 2021. This was a big, huge project for the LGBT community, and knowledge transfer program on sexual transmitted disease and breast implant complication among LGBT. So this was a partnership, a collaboration with USIM, USM, Yadim, Jakim, Mawib, Jaib. There's a lot more there. Persatuan Insaf Pahang, Hijrah, Yayasan Ihtimam, Yayasan Taqwa, and Komuniti Kesatuan Komuniti Sejahtera. So the outcome of this project, actually, we managed to make 19 maknya to remove the implant. Okay, and 8 out of 10 lorong gelap in Kuantan has been closed, and this actually had created a lot of awareness, and for that we had a lot of awareness. We had so you can see there the the impact there. Can so forehead implant removal as well, so chin implant removal. So this project went to the this society and this group of people. Alhamdulillah, it received sponsorship, even though we gave them 20,000 for the project. Yayasan Taqwa gave them another additional 5,000. Mawib gave them 708,000. Yayasan Ihtimam also gave them 308,000 to run the project. So that's how we actually give the opportunity for the academicians or the community here in the university to participate in any form of project which would benefit the community as well. So this is another project from another group of community in the campus, which is pornography addiction, its implication on sexual reproductivity and social health. This was with collaboration with Malaysian, I cannot see that, awareness, I think, of pornography, MAP. Apa? A itu apa? Tak nampak A itu. Can. So, all right, sorry for that if I cannot see that. Okay, so they had 215 school counselors together, 1 NGO partner, 3 community partners, 42 health staffs, 16 academicians, 74 students involved in this. So somehow we wanted to create awareness about pornography, and alhamdulillah, I think we managed to gather a lot of stakeholders in this project. Another initiative in this campus is a project called Usra in Action. Okay, Usra in Action is where this is different because we actually inculcate the the spirit of community to our students right from the beginning, right from the first year. So it's called Usra in Action. So before they actually enroll in Usra in Action subject, they would go for sustainable development issues, principles, and practices. So we actually share with them SDGs, SDG 1 to SDG 17, and we have, alhamdulillah, until date we have 300 proposals that they've sent students. So these are a group of students. One section would have 20 students. So we have, I think, more than 30 sections. Okay? So these sections are across the range from each faculty, kuliah, any law, you name it, it's no boundaries. So they can mix together and they can think out of projects to actually, propose and implement. Okay? So that's Sustainable Development Goal and goes to Usra in Action 1, Usra in Action 2. The difference is just that Usra in Action 1 is where you do the community profiling. Usra in Action 2, you will implement whatever you actually want to, propose. Okay, So Alhamdulillah, I think Yayasan Hasanah was among the judge during the symposium we had. They came as a judge, thank you very much. And there were a lot of projects across the range for apa? I think for B40s, for banyak lah, for B40s, communities, for indigenous, for refugees, if I read that, for students, as well as for marginalized community. Right, so from there, actually, we are planning as a next step for Usra in Action, because normally Usra in Action, we don't provide them fund. The students, they have to be creative, like Datuk just said just now, to have crowdfunding. They have to find their own fund. But Alhamdulillah, we managed to get a few from, I think, CIMB last time we got CIMB. Every group was given 150, 30 groups So so the next step would be we actually established another kind of grant, which is called ARG, Action Research Grant. From the idea here, from the model here, they can apply for an internal grant, which is called ARG, which will be launched soon. I think in the next few months for this IIM community, so that they can implement whatever they actually plan here in Usra in Action. Not necessarily Usra in Action, we can become any other project which actually would be beneficial to the other stakeholders. Also, we have this RCE Greater Gombak project, which is, I don't have time here, which is actually a project with the Parliament of Malaysia. I was involved as well with this project. I was the lead research for Bentong, Parliament Bentong. We went to the ground. We went. There's Bentong, Pendang, Tanjung Piai. Ada lagi sebenarnya banyak tu saya pun tak boleh sebut semua kan. There were 10 initial, the first 10 parliamentary that was involved for this APPGM project. So funded by the Parliament of Malaysia. It's a bipartisan initiative. We go to the ground and we find issues, we map it. Then later we give our suggestion to the member of parliament to be brought to the parliament and so on and so forth. All right. So I was in Bentong. We had a lot of issues. So for example, like Bentong, we had the unity issue. So we actually came up with the Muhibbah project in Felda Lurah Bilot. I was there as well. We also had another project for agriculture, where we created the urban farming in Bentong, Kampung Sungai Dua, right? As well. So and other projects as well. So this is initiatives in Usra in Action. ARG is what I was talking about just now. We are promoting ARG so that it can be translated. Whatever research they've done, whatever groundwork they've done, they can apply for this grant and then they can implement it. So this is another grant, our new grant, which we will implement soon. Planning, they have to plan, they will act upon it, they will observe and they will reflect. So this is the module of ARG. MOU, MOA, I think this is in every entity. We have this, we also in IIUM, we have industry partners, a lot of it, IGN, and so on and so forth. We do have that. Flagship. Another initiative from ourselves, our university, we have flagships. I think we do have a lot. To date, we have 40 plus flagships, which consists of a lot of issues. Flagships is an initiative which gathers the academicians, not on the staffs, not only academicians, non-academics, students. They can come together and then they can create projects. They can initiate projects. They can suggest for projects and they can implement it. So the university will actually go through the applications and they will, of course, accept this application which is suitable. For example, we have a lot of projects. Sebenarnya banyak, 40 project lebih sebenarnya. Capacity building, we have for indigenous, for mosque, for falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan, for STEM. I'm reading it from the Excel file here. Malay food heritage. We have smoke-free Sejahtera campus. So it is regardless of your office. So you can have combination of a lot of people in different offices, so they can do a lot of things. So this is how we actually portray ourselves, IIUM, to the society. So I remember once Tan Sri Zul said, what's the use of us being here, present here in this Gombak, if we cannot do anything to the people of the surrounding, kan? So we're not exclusive here in Gombak. We're not supposed to be exclusive. We're supposed to be part of the community, kan? Playing a role. So that's how it started, and that's how the flagship came in, and flagship and so on and so forth, right? Not taking more time. I think there's also a partnership with Jamalul Lail with Perlis. We have a grant with Majlis Agama Islam dan Adat Istiadat Melayu Perlis, MAIPS, where they give us grants for 5 years to actually empower the people in Perlis. So each of the recipient will receive around 10 to 20,000, kan, to promote lah, to empower the community. I think there's a lot of project there. Kelulut, apa tu, fishery, technology. We've received the recipients of the JKEPT. Yeah? So JKEPT is another initiative, but it is only focused on Perlis, people in Perlis. So maybe, I don't know, maybe other states would give us, kan, Melaka ke, so we'll create another one lah, kan, for the people. Alright, so this is initiative between our people in our expertise in the campus. Then we would contribute to the community, industry, and so on and so forth. So it's a small contribution, of course. And as well as industry mentor, we promote, we encourage all the kuliahs to actually have industry mentor, which would advise all the faculties to do initiatives, programs, and so on and so forth. So these are among the initiative activities that they can perform, can advise, provide internship placement, conduct workshop, so on and so forth. So we have, I think, 9 industry mentors already, kan, in our campus, which they are on pro bono basis, and they would actually advise us on a lot of things. These are among activities. Not limited to this, we have, alhamdulillah, obtained cooperation, as Datuk Syahira said. Without industry, it's something that it's a component that it will be missing, kan? More research, too much research, but no implementation is something that is not completing this whole cycle. So we actually thought of putting in industry mentors in our faculty. Alhamdulillah, we are progressing. I think UPM is much better, kan? UPM, every department, Prof. Samsul, he's the director of Industry Link as well, kan? So he's putting every department one industry mentor, kan?
The faculty have the CEO mentor, they have minimum of 3. So on top of our KPT programs under CEO at faculty, so our university have a CEO at UPM, where every faculty we have 3 or 4 mentors, CEOs from the industry.
True. So that's what we're trying to follow. Our brother there from UPM, kan? Of course, Prof. Samsul and me and other of the directors, we meet each other. Not in WhatsApp. Sometimes we meet together. We think of ideas. We share actually, kan, Mr. Eddie, kan? We're not foes. We're friends, kan? So that's how it's supposed to be. We complement each other. All right, so I think that's all. Thank you very much. So these are small initiatives that we have actually implemented in the campus. Hopefully, inshallah, I would receive any comments. We could improve on our initiative. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam. Thank you, Dr. Carol Zami. I would now pass the floor to Dr. Khalila to moderate the question and answer session.
Boleh tanya tak terus, Khairul? Okay, basically I'm trying to map, before that, Datuk Syahira, thank you very much for Yayasan Hasanah. Actually, Yayasan Hasanah this year has given us a grant of $500,000 to do a project together with the industry, with the NGO lah, on the Omada punya community. So thank you very much. We hope that we already go start doing project and show you some result. That's the project. Thank you again. All right. Again, now back to my question to my colleague, Prof. Regarding the model, I'm trying to match in the Maqasid Sharia model, the Quintuple Helix, with the your current program, or your framework. How do you see? Is it already considered as an example of a working model of Maqasid Sharia? Sharia, all right? Because ikut Melayu kan lah, senang sikit. Okay, so is it already 100% workable model, or it is still within trying to match whatever program, industrial and community project with the Maqasid framework? Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Samsul. I think maybe to assist you in answering that question, kan? Maybe not the right answer, Prof, is that of course what we are doing now, of course, is accordance to that Maqasid sebenarnya. So it's just that there's two perspectives there. One, you can say that, oi, we've never heard of this Maqasid before, so we should actually create a new model, kan? But actually, the concept of Maqasid is already there. It's just that we have to pinpoint it, we have to highlight it, we have to spotlight it sebenarnya. So whatever we're doing, like U4S ke KTP, whatever, kan, it's already there. It's just you want to blend in the concept of Maqasid sebenarnya. Yes, bits and pieces. All right, so it's not necessary that we have to make a new thing. It's already there. But in context of Maqasid, kan, Maqasid is like Prof Aziz said, we had 5, kan, 5, kan, all those 5 elements there, and of course connecting the dots with SDG as well as itulah banyak konsep, kan, FPK, falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan. So you saw that the circle there, the wheel that Prof Aziz showed you. That's what we in IIUM thought of, and of course we need inputs from other universities on the model, because it's not a final model, something that we can actually discuss further if we want to actually make it national level model. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih di atas seminar ini. Saya Zaki daripada UPM ingin berbicara tentang SDG 17 dan tambahan SDG 18 tadi. To me, I have always talked about the problem of fragmented worldview due to modern reductionism approach. So for me, I always have problem with when people talk about 17 SDG. It is a fragmented view of reality. And I think at university level, we have to overcome this. We have to go beyond the fragmentation of 17 aspect of SDG, because to me, it creates an unintended problem of people having tunnel vision, working in isolation and unaware of the impact of their work on other aspects of reality. And I think if we want to introduce another element into the 17th SDG, it would be good if we think of how to bring them together. Because with the 17 already, we have universities and people working in isolation, and they're saying that, okay, I'm working on SDG 2, 7, and 9, okay? And they are oblivious to the effect of the 3 SDGs on other SDGs. So the problem of fragmented view of reality is actually huge, and we need a new way of thinking of how to bring things together. We are talking about system thinking, holistic view of the world. So I think at university level, we need to be very, very careful when we want to work within the fragmented view of the SDG. And we are having problem. For example, somebody might be working on something and we highlight that, this is have a reverse or adverse effect on SDG 18 if you want to reduce SDG 18. And the person could take the view that, okay, that's not my concern because I'm already working on these three. So I think we need to work on epistemological level on how we view the world. We need to review at university level. At least we need to relook at how these 17th are being divided. At operational level, we understand the need to be efficient. They need to allocate resources quantitatively. So we understand that. But at our level, we have this problem if we continue to work this way. That is the problem of reductionism, the modern scientism of looking at the world. Thank you very much.
I think it's true, Mr. Zaki. Thank you for the comment, because it's supposed to complement each other, kan? Complement the SDG sebenarnya tu. I think before SDG pun sebenarnya we didn't have this problem. This compartmentalization ni sebenarnya, kan? It's actually trying to focus people in one direction, but somehow it creates problems where you say that, oh, that's not my forte, kan? That's your forte. You deal with water. I don't deal with water. I deal with poverty, kan? So somehow it's interrelated sebenarnya, kan? And it came from United Nations. We as academician, as you know, kan, Cik Zaki, kan, Prof, we actually are supposed to be not tied to any ideas, kan? Because we academicians, we can say what we want to say as long as it is in the context lah. It's in the context. So supposedly, as you said, I do agree. We can review it so that people won't say that, hey, that's not my job. It's this guy's job. This guy is SDG 15. I'm SDG 9, kan? So somehow maybe SDG 18, which deals with spirituality, kan, kerohanian tu, would bring all this SDG together as a whole lah sebenarnya. So that's what we found out. Of course, when you interpret, for example, Prof, SDG 5, kan? SDG 5 ni, which is controversial lah. Controversial, where you say that if in our context, it could not be something that, if you think about that, where you have equality, kan, equality. So in our terms, in IIUM, we go to our own definition of the SDG 5. Sebenarnya tak, kan, in Islam also it's not gonna go that way, kan? We redefine it according to our context lah, our needs sebenarnya. Maybe SDG tu sekadar panduan, guideline, and SDG, that's why we saw that there's a missing component in SDG where we don't have the spirituality part, kan? That's where I think our Tan Sri Rector and the team and Prof Aziz were talking about that, and they're trying to push that to the ministry lah, Prof Zaki.
Okay, any more questions from members of the floor? I think the final session wraps up quite nicely because many of the participants present here today are also from academic institution. So I think one of the ways of sharing how we do, and then we also learn from each other, because I think across the experience, even as a project leader for one of the project, going on ground is very different than, what we plan. When we submit for grant proposals, we would have a projection of when we want to do workshop 1, 2, 3, how the budget would be spent, and then what would be the measures that we do. But once you go on ground, sometimes it would take weeks or months to even get the trust and collaboration from the community, especially when we do community project. There was, I think, one of the instances where I had the chance to talk with Datuk Shahira when asking her, how does Yayasan Hasanah do their community engagement? And she actually shared that the first year, they consider a 0 year, because that first year alone is used to build network, to build trust, to gain trust from the community, from also to work together to understand the working culture with the various partners and NGO. And only the second year onwards, that's when the projects really take impacts or unfold. So I think that is something that we also can learn in academic institutions where some of the projects, of course, we want to see direct impact, but it's not as easy to get that just within 1 year or within just 2 years, because the way people work, the way communities work are different at different places. And even I believe that how receptive they are or adapting themselves to various technologies, various ways of doing things will take time as well. Okay, so if there's no further question, I would like to wrap up the session with some key takeaways. And I think today, the word that we use that is very valuable is not just about the quintuple helix, not just about the 5 things, but rather I can deduce that the word ecosystem plays a great role in the overall thing. Now, coming from a landscape architecture background from a built environment school, ecosystem is like the core principle of understanding things, because we can say for a fact that no ecosystem can stand alone. And with that being said, this ecosystem of quintuple helix that we have, it's very true that we cannot stand alone. We must communicate and work together, because each one of the entities, academia, industry, government, civil society, the environment or the community, each have their own strength and role and needs that we can pull together. So taking the spirit of 5, which is quintuple, I can summarize 5 key takeaways that we can share from today's seminar. The first one is to innovate. We innovate to create value and wealth for a balanced society. And this should be grounded by the inner dimensions that comes from us, which is meaning, moral, ethics, culture, soul, the worldview, and faith. Because we want to make sure that whatever that we do, how advanced we get, whatever solutions that we come up with, it is grounded by the maqasid or the foundations of human. Because this is the same throughout all human across the globe. We all have needs for the family, for wealth, for the mind, and also for the protection of faith. The second one is to instill the spirit of innovation, which is a platform to test ideas, to create and to fail, even from the start of schools and universities. So I think for today's participants, this is something that we can take home right away, that for innovation to come up, it won't be perfect, it won't be right the first time around. We need to inculcate this spirit of experimenting with ideas, because industry at one end moves on very fast, and they also look to academic institutions for new ideas to test out further. Maybe at our level in the university, we don't have the capacity to scale it up, but the idea platform we do have. So to instill the spirit of innovation. The third one is, in order to do this, in order to achieve all the SDGs, we need courageous leadership. Or as we say, qalbun salim, leadership with heart, willpower, and determination in doing our right to help make good and to improve the maslahah of the society. And in our capacity, we should also be using this platform to build leaders in the community. Because at the end of any projects, it will be up to the community to sustain the initiatives. Because at the end of the day, they are the ones who are living there. The fourth one is to stay focused on the initiatives that we're doing in order to develop and sustain it in the long run. And everyone has their expertise and come with their own ways of doing things. And this is why it is important to collaborate, to do this collectively, so that we can achieve a wider impact. Because as the speaker said, the speakers has demonstrated that they come from different angles and different background. And it is impossible for us to do everything. So we have be steadfast in our mission. What is it that we want to solve? But we pull together the solutions, because then we can solve things in a wider context. And the fifth and the last one is that I can help to sum up that Quintuple Helix ecosystem is about connectivity and resource sharing, where we as responsible Khalifa is at the center of it. And we need to change our mindset and culture, as Prof. Aziz said earlier on, in order to create this culture of sharing and caring. So that sums up from my side. Back to the MC.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Khalilah Zakaria, the Deputy Director of ALL, for sharing key takeaways from today's seminar. Esteemed speakers, ladies and gentlemen, today's seminar has been enlightening, and we are eager to continue learning more if time permits. It is always beneficial to reflect on what we have learned, and for that reason, we will create a beautiful sketch style illustration of all the key points discussed today. The illustration will be designed by Dr. Hanis and will be available on the OIL website, Facebook, Instagram, and Instagram for your convenience. Honorable speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Alhamdulillah, as we come to the end of this seminar, it is my pleasure to express our heartfelt gratitude to all of you for making this event a huge success. We value your feedbacks and opinions as they help us improve our future seminars. Kindly share your valuable feedback with us by scanning the QR code provided. Your inputs are highly appreciated. We would like to invite everyone to proceed to the banquet hall for lunch and networking. Okay. But before that, we have a video presentation for you to see.
Okay, before we proceed to lunch, yes, we'd like to share with you one of our project for U4S. And we have our industry partner Pfizer here with us also today.
All right, before we proceed for the lunch, I would like to invite everyone to be on stage for a group photo session to commemorate this wonderful occasion.